problem child.
Yeah, you got the ear of doom. Welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 473. We'll be with you, me and Rob, after the intro. Had a few technical problems again. Oh, wait, as I was saying to Rob, always happens when we have him on. I think one of the pins on my LAN cards is a bit munted.
I'm hiding, I'm searching, I'm loving.
That's New Zealand slang for effed. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do to better fix that or not. But it seems to be working alright.
I'm searching, I'm loving, I'm finding love.
We're finding love, are we? Roberts. Hello.
Oh.
Good to be back. Okay, we got that far. Just be aware of the basic rules on the side. We got moderators around, hopefully, as well as me and Rob can sort out the trolls. So yeah, we're fully up and operational, hopefully. How's it sounding out there? What are we doing today, Robert?
Well, carrying on from last week when we were talking about Orbs, I found an interview with a CIA guy, and he had some interesting stuff to say himself. He's only recently come into the public arena kind of thing, and he's done a really good interview on a YouTube channel called Project Unity. And we'll have a listen to what he's got to say. In fact, the whole interview is really good, to be honest, if you want to understand.
CIA and what topic exactly? Aliens, UFOs, Black Ops?
Orbs, intelligence agencies, talks a little bit about Roswell as well towards the end. So, yeah, sure.
I'll just put that in the title then, down the side. I'll just put up my donation link.
So, yeah, sure. Go with that. Whoops.
What are you doing?
It's all right. It's all right.
I should change this over here, so I don't have to type so much.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so I'll just save that. And we can get into it. Good message. Okay, so that up. And a link. And you've posted, is it?
No, okay. I'm not as yet. I'll do it right now, Paul. Where am I supposed to be? Here
so who we got out there at the moment? Just Dan, is it?
Dan, hi Dan.
I did a live show yesterday. It didn't go down too well with the Secureteam fans out there. As you can see, I got trashed on BitChute, 5 unsubs there. But they're the kind of people we don't want anyway, because they're closed-minded. and maybe they're even paid off accounts by Tyler anyway. He pays off people, pays for trolls. Pay for troll, as we've heard from Nocturnal News. He admitted on a video that Tyler paid him to troll us.
Yeah, but there's professional trolls out there as well, you know.
Sorry, there's professional trolls. Yeah, the CIA.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Don't think that's Looney Tunes thinking that's a fact.
That's right, it is. And you can see YouTube subs have gone down. It won't let me get past that 2,500, will it? So if you really think that I'm not suppressed, I think you can watch my stats go up and down every week every time we have an episode. And you can see for yourself. That's the stats coming from the admin section that I've got on that panel there.
Well, let me tell you something now. What happened with my Facebook page? Okay, I was getting at one point about 8 to 12 new members a day. So it was flying up 200, 300, 400. Then it got to around about the 480, 490 mark, and all of a sudden, boom! It just stopped dead. I went from 8 to 12 members to none, 0. Now, the only time I get new members, is when 1 or 2 decide to leave, and then they'll give me a couple. So I'm stuck at around about that 495 mark now. Now, that's not a bad thing for me, to be honest, because 500 in a group is plenty. Once you start getting these really big groups that have like 20,000 people, they're out of control. There's trolls everywhere. Most of the people are talking complete nonsense, and I don't want that type of group. I just don't. So I'm really happy with my little group.
It's well known that Facebook limits how many subs you get based on how much you pay.
Can you actually pay to advertise? Can you?
Yeah, and they'll start bugging you saying advertise your group at only $30 a month.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that. I don't think I will. I don't think I will be doing it either, because you don't know who you get in. You might get 200 new members, and only 10 of those new 200 are going to be any good to you.
Yeah, it sounds like Tyler fans, doesn't it? But you want some people that are really real investigators rather than people after the answers. But you need a combination of both.
Yeah, there's been about 4 occasions when someone's posted something from Tyler or something from Third Phase, and basically they've been warned, and they left, actually. I'd have only banned them if they'd done it again anyhow, because I just don't want that nonsense. It just degrades the whole thing.
Yeah, what you should do is you should say, this is why we're banning it, and actually give them a link to my various debunk videos.
Yeah, sure.
And they might watch it and then understand why you won't allow them onto the group, because people don't know the frauds out there. There's a lot of newcomers, you see.
Yeah.
So the one I normally made for Third Phase was answering Goofon, which was Liar. Called Liar, and it's got Liar as a fun now. Down here somewhere. It's amazing how much I do. It really is. My mind boggles. Here it is down here. Liar, pants on fire. So you give them that one. It's only 8 minutes long.
Yeah.
And it goes through the examples of where they're hoaxing and stuff. Okay.
Well, there's one thing I've found out, Paul. If you stick up something that's 2 hours long, that not many will watch it,
No, so you got to use the 10-minute ones.
Dedicated individuals that might actually take the time to watch it, but
so exposing Goofon,
yeah,
and Third Phase is that one, because he's defending them, saying they haven't hoaxed when they did something in 2020 with the search and rescue, right? And then you want to do the tighter one. Just send them the 10-minute one. I don't know which one's the better one. Oop. That was the right tab. Normally this one's quite popular here. Smoking gun evidence, Secureteam faked 2 NASA one. But that's the very first one, right? We have got one that's been updated with the third one. But it's normally good enough for them to look at the other stuff. So normally send them that one or the blue one. This one, not there. Where's the blue one gone? Looks like it scrolled off. There's a blue one that talks about his first leaker, which was the third one we found. So if you ban him for Tyler exposed, you give him that link there, which explains why. And yeah, better get onto this interview, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But as you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can make it drink. Otherwise, you can't get them to watch the stuff to understand.
No, I know. It's
But
like,
if you just bookmark
Focus
those
will
two, if you bookmark those two with the reject and say that post was deleted because of this reason here, which has been summed up pretty nicely by OT Channel, then you just go from there. So John Ramires, is that how you say his name?
John Ramires, yes. And just to explain
Yes.
to people, here, you can see there's the GS15 there. Now the GS thing is pay grade, basically. The 15 is really high. That's like you'd have to be like a lieutenant colonel or a full colonel
Right.
to have a pay grade that high. The only one with higher pay grades would be like your generals and brigadiers and stuff, you know. So yeah, so he's a high ranking CIA officer.
Okay, so he's going to talk about orbs. Okay.
He is in the first few minutes, yeah. So we'll get on to that if you like.
Okay, we better check out the volume. Sometimes it can be too low, sometimes too loud.
The craft.
That's fine, I think.
And so that's still like very quiet of who's driving the craft. And the Air Force, their exploitation of that type of technology,
I think that volume's alright,
just made.
Yeah.
I think that's maximum volume. I can get a wee bit more, maybe. Looks like we've got a message come up on yours. Let's get rid of that. And let's see how we go.
The biggest takeaway for folks to understand is that things are happening on a, it's not a disclosure, it's a scheduled dissemination. And so certain things have to be set up before other things can be revealed. I think the kicker would be this James Webb Space Telescope.
Oh, yeah?
I think it's going to look at something and it's going to be so phenomenal that the government would have no choice but to say, oh, look at that, and we need to go look at it, even though they know what it is.
Oh, okay, so you're saying that it could be the case that they're setting up this telescope with the prior knowledge that they're going to reveal something.
They need to look at someplace, yeah,
That's
in space, and then there will be some kind of reveal there. And it's interesting that the Navy has taken a lead role in this, and not the Air Force.
Yeah, well, I've talked about that a bit. I mean, it doesn't necessarily surprise me that a group like the Air Force that's got such a controversial legacy history with the UFO issue would be reluctant to speak. Although the brain of the U.S. Air Force, which is the National Air and Space Intelligence Center, has now got itself involved within the handling of information through the UAP task force. So there is that nascent.
Yeah, they're giving him that job. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where the job started, and that's where it should always be.
Do you think that's a good thing? Because I've asked a few people about this, whether or not they feel that it's just a natural development. It's a good thing that NASIC is now in this position, or is this Project Blue Book-esque Air Force cover-up style thing coming up through NASIC? I mean, how do you feel about them being involved right now?
Because, well, the fact of that everyone knows that's what's going to go, that's quite a bit of difference than before. So like in Blue Book, it was more like, we know what's going on, but we don't want anyone else to know what's going on. And please come up with some reasons why they shouldn't think what they saw is what they saw. That was more a cover-up. And I think NASIC is more part of this controlled dissemination that will eventually come out.
Yeah.
I don't think they can bury it anymore because it's already out.
No, I think any sort of conversations around swamp gas and temperature inversion would not be taken very lightly at this point.
Yeah.
Are you optimistic about the direction of the modern UAP or UFO discussion within mainstream context? So in terms of governmental and academic and media engagement, does it make you optimistic about where we might go?
I think, the government's more than willing to say that the craft are real. The government doesn't want to say is who's driving the craft. And so that's still like very, very quiet of who's driving the craft. Yeah. And the Air Force, their exploitation of that type of technology just made a mess of things. Because when people see triangular craft and whatnot, and they're not like flying in space, they're flying in our atmosphere. It sort of points to the fact that we know what the triangles are, and we want people to think they're seeing UFOs because then they won't know exactly what they're seeing. But the presence of orbs, really threw everything at a higher pitch because they couldn't explain the orbs, and they said, okay, these aren't the saucers. These aren't your grandfather's saucers. These orbs are different, and that's what really got everyone excited. Is the presence of these orbs that were detected, and so that's where most of the focus is on now. Are these orbs?
Well, that interests me because obviously my primary experiences that kind of catalyzed and threw me into doing these types of conversations were my own experiences, which I'm assuming you probably do know about, with orange orbs of light. Yeah. So I'm very, very curious, and I find it interesting that that's the top level of interest with the phenomenon. But at the same time, like you said, it's not your grandfather's saucer. This is a more immaterial, it's an energetic form of some degree, and that throws out the quite easy to digest spaceship with some aliens inside it. This is something else. I mean, I think Lou Elizondo's postulated that they could be some sort of drone, hyper advanced drone technology of some form, that they're coming down and doing surveillance. I have no idea what it was that I saw. So I'm full of questions when it comes to orbs. And I know you have your own experience with that. Maybe we could get into that at some point after the presentation, because I know that you've had some experience throughout your career with actually encountering some of these orbs in
childhood. Yes.
and childhood, of course. Yeah.
And they are orange.
And yes, they are. I mean, that's the thing. They seem to come in a multitude of colors, but I've only ever witnessed these orange orbs.
Yeah, my wife has seen orange orbs here recently. And I've seen orange orbs and also a white orb. But yeah, Arizona is just full of. I tell people, if you've never seen one, come to Arizona.
Arizona, yeah.
Yeah, put your lawn chair out and just look up at the sky for a few minutes, and you'll see something. There's like something about Arizona
going on. Yeah, that's interesting. Now, before we start the presentation, a quick disclaimer for those of you who will be listening to this via Spotify or any other audio platform. This interview is centered around the breakdown of a PowerPoint presentation, which we're going to be including on screen throughout the conversation. And so it is recommended that you watch this interview through YouTube so that you have a visual understanding of what's being discussed. I will also be including a download link in the description box for anyone who wants a copy of this presentation. So you can always download it and go through it whilst listening. So, John, what inspired you to create this presentation titled Navigating the U.S. Intelligence Community for UFOlogists?
Well, I recognize that the FOIAs were primarily directed at CIA. And CIA's part of the intelligence community is not as expansive as people would think, at least not since the other intelligence agencies were created. And so CIA's purview into UAPs started to shrink because there were other agencies looking at imagery. Of course, everyone knows NSA collects signals. And as far as the UAP impact on military, on our hardware, that's all in DIA's basket. So by directing FOIA straight at CIA and saying, do you have any pictures of anything? Or what do you know about this? The only thing you're going to get are historical records and not anything current, because we don't do current things in this field as to the point that people think we do, but we are still involved in it. So I wanted to let people know that there are more agencies than just CIA. And of course, Louis put DIA on the map, and Snowden put NSA on the map. So, I mean, there's more than just CIA, and there's many, many other places that might have this type of information. So navigating is more about like where to go to get information in an FOIA format, and how to create an FOIA, and how to tailor it so that you'll get the proper response. It's so important to not ask for everything, but if you have a particular event in mind, kind of narrow it down to a region or event by date and time. So also, I wanted to bring out the sort of like an outline of how a UAP would be handled today. Now that we have these intelligence agencies and we have these sensors, how would we handle an appearance of an orb? And so I went through a hypothetical case, and I had to call it hypothetical. But it's, as we now know, there are orbs. But what happened before ALSAP? You know, a lot of folks think that, you know, it's ALSAP and orbs, but it was an ongoing process to get to ALSAP. And the fact that the intelligence community is not just like civilians, there's also military, and there's separate laws governing how civilian intelligence agencies might collect against an orb versus how a military agency might collect against the orb. So that's what I wanted to do, and also bring out a story, a narrative of what I think might have happened back in '47. And I'm not saying that this is what happened. I'm saying that I myself needed to sort it out for my own mind, because I'm an experiencer as well as an intelligence officer. And so looking at it that way, I just wanted to like connect the dots for myself.
So what comes first, the experiencer or the CIA? That's interesting.
I don't know. That would be good to know, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because that changes everything.
I know he's got a book out, but the book had to be vetted first by the CIA.
Mm.
And they chose whether he could leave stuff in or not. And he
Right.
said he was shocked at what they didn't tell him to remove. He let
Okay.
him be, they let him be as open as possible. So the CIA is studying these orbs now. He's just said it. And so also talking about a planned disclosure there, basically disseminating information. We'll see. We'll see. You've heard that. You've heard of this Gillibrand amendment now, haven't you? Which is quite an interesting development, but it's all going to take time, and it's got to be passed in the Senate and all that first. But yeah, I think most people are familiar with that. It's made all the news these last couple of weeks. But the UAP task force, if this amendment is successful, will have to tell us, give us the public briefings every 12 months.
Yeah, but the They're still not saying it's aliens, like he said at the beginning of this interview here.
No. They're not going to say that.
We had one
way
episode
down
yesterday. Yeah, my episode
Yeah.
yesterday was about that top spy saying it's aliens that were buzzing the warship. She didn't actually say that. She said, yes, there could be extraterrestrials, more research and data and collection is needed. But she didn't connect it with it. Yeah, she didn't connect it with the UFOs or Tic Tacs buzzing the warships, but everybody else in ufology seems to have done that, and the newspapers.
I know. That's typical. That's just not. She didn't say that. Who you mean is Avril Haines. She's the new director for intelligence.
So you can watch that on yesterday's episode. You miss it, guys. I go over it. And it sort of annoys me that people create fake news like that, because it puts people's hopes up that don't actually go and listen to the interview themselves to see the things were taken out of context or words added in or translated. She didn't even say aliens, she said extraterrestrials, because government always say EBBs, right? They never say aliens. In fact, aliens could refer to illegal aliens and stuff like that, so that's probably why they use
They don't like that word. They just do not like that word, Paul.
No. Maybe aliens don't like that word according to some experiences, which has caused a bit of a mayhem with
I know,
people
I've seen it.
It's hilarious, really. But I guess, alien is pretty generic use in America anyway, so alien, I suppose that can't be sort of taken as an insult. It's probably like calling you a white man. A general term, probably, but it's all wokeness nowadays. But anyway, just remember, we just need to pause this every so often and add in our own bits just to keep it fair usey. And welcome on the side there.
Yeah, there's down off, I believe it. I've seen many orbs, orange, white, blue, red, multicolored, changing, blinking on and off, changing sizes. The thing is, what are they? I don't know whether they come to any real conclusions on the. I think he actually talks about this in a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be conscious, intelligent. A lot of people are saying that they're pure energy and consciousness. I don't know. Does that mean they're biological? God, that's a thought, isn't it?
I think they're just.
I don't know.
I just think they're plasma myself, and
I think it's some kind of highly advanced.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with portals opening up. Because you always hear about the orbs being seen before the TR3Bs show up, or they transform into them. So maybe they're like a Stargate, they sort of create this plasma ball, and they drive it around like a remote controlled drone until they get the right spots, and then decide whether they're going to open up the doorway completely. Because it might be like a window into our universe, right? Before they jump across, so they might just move this orb around just to keep to check on things. So it might be partly, it might be partly craft, partly plasma. So that's certainly new, because it goes back to the Foo Fighter days, right, where they could pass through and stuff.
Oh, they're not new.
No, and the triangles are new though, so. They're often seen together, and so are Bigfoots. Bigfoots and orbs and doorways seem to go together. So it seems to be related to connection to a portal or a gateway of some sort. But anyway, interesting stuff.
I heard an excellent triangle report this week from a guy in D-side, which is just what I'm looking for, because it's in my local area. And it was really close up. It was like he said, it was about 30 feet above his head, and it was huge, totally silent. He said it was smooth on the underside. He couldn't see any details. Sometimes people describe, like pipes and pistons and stuff on the underside. But all this had was a big red light bang in the centre.
Yeah.
No other lights. But it was a nice clear night and he could see it perfectly. But it was right
Did
on
you take a
top of him,
picture?
almost. No, it was
Okay.
it was in the early 90s, he believes, or the late 80s. And that was
Right.
before the time that there was cameras on the phone. He was working as a security guard. He's
Wasn't it
ex-military.
the Belgian wave time? The Belgian wave was
It was just about the right time. I mentioned that to him.
Yeah. Okay.
He's trying to find, he's going through his old records now to find the exact time and date for me. And
Right.
I've asked him a few follow-up questions as well.
Cool. We lost the sub, have we? I mean, I like for some reason. Anyway,
Right.
we carry on, shall we?
Yeah.
Itself. And for using the puzzle metaphor, I have the corners of the puzzle, but I'd never seen the picture in the box. So I kind of know, okay, these are the corners, and I have a pile of pieces, and I kind of know where the pieces go, but not all of them fit right. So how can I make all of the pieces fit right to attach to the corners? And then maybe I can see the picture on the box. I think others in the government have the picture in the box, but they're not sharing you anything. And others who claim to have pieces, they're throwing pieces out, and a lot of researchers, a lot of enthusiasts are putting the pieces together wrong. And whether it's intended that way or just playing mischief, I'm not sure. There's a lot of information out there that doesn't make sense. And any intelligence officer can look at a document and tell you this is not a real document and point out the reasons why. That's what I bring to the table. I would like to help people understand what's real and what might not be real, and with the reasons why it might not be real. To unpack things, as I call it, as I hear information. And I'll give you an example. The Bob Fish emails. When I read through the emails, I saw where there were glaring errors in what Bob Fish said. Not to say that it isn't a credible source.
Can you just expand on that for anyone that might not know what these are?
Okay, I think Bob Fish wrote to Podesta, who was Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, thinking that Hillary would win the election and become the next president, and he wanted to let Podesta know that since he has stated that they would like to open up the UFO files, he wanted to contribute his experience with what some of those files might contain. And so he apparently had a source, another person who was, of all things, an e-linter like myself, an electronic intelligence person. And so he was like relating things kind of secondhand based on the way I read it, because I could have put in more detail and what Bob Fish revealed. But he was on the right track, and it's just that little things were like not quite correct. And in fact, the correct unpacking of it is even more profound than what he said. So that's the Bob Fish story, and it went to UFO Joe Murgy. So he had the emails and contacted him directly. But yeah, I can unpack that even more profoundly than what Bob Fish revealed. So things like that I could do.
Yeah, I think, well, this is why I said that I think it's going to be a very useful tool for people who are trying to increase the veracity, accuracy, and scope of their research, especially when it comes to Freedom of Information Act requests to different agencies. I think that this is going to be a tool that can be utilized. Obviously, you've got this background, and you're using your intelligence background and your abilities to craft this presentation. So I think that people are certainly going to find some benefit from it. So I think the best thing to do here is to probably let you take the lead on this. After all, it's your presentation, and then once the presentation is concluded, we can cap it off with a discussion at the end, because I'll most likely be writing down some questions as I listen. So maybe we can do a little Q&A session at the end or something like that. All right. Well, the stage is yours, John. So whenever you're ready, if you want to get the screen sharing up, and yeah, whenever you're ready.
Okay. So we're at the title slide, and as we said before, it's more of an overview of what America's intelligence agencies do, but with a focus on UFO, UAP investigations by the U.S. government. This is a little bit about me. GS-15, retired. I retired in 2009. In the 25 years, I started in the Directorate of Science and Technology in the SIGINT field and the Director of Intelligence in the Weapons Intelligence Analysis field. Toward the end of my career, I was at the ODNI National Counterproliferation Center, and then ended my career back at CIA.
Paul, do you want to pause it there for a second, please?
This is a very important slide.
Yes, sorry, I wasn't sure if people are finding this interesting or not. Are you okay with it, Paul?
It's a wee bit dry, I guess.
Well,
people like sensational stuff in UFOs, don't they? They like seeing UFOs.
Yeah, but that's not what it's about, is it? Yeah, sensational. I don't do sensational. You can go somewhere else for that. Don't come to me. But if you go to 42 minutes, I found it quite interesting again.
Okay, I can't
42.
see the numbers. Can't see the timestamp underneath. How stupid is that? Let me just see. Oh, there we go. I can see it now.
Why? Because what this slide says is
I
nothing.
did click it. I didn't want to go. Oh, there we go.
So let's look at a hypothetical case. Let's say an orb appears. And I use the STS-75 tether incident as just an exemplar of an unusual phenomenon in space. This is when they had a high energy tether.
Okay, before we carry on, the tether one was STS-78. And that's where they were trying to drag a fiber into the Earth's atmosphere to get electricity flowing down it, so they could probably have it connected to space stations to supply power that way, or charge batteries very quickly on spaceships. And they found it was so much drag that it ripped to the bits. Now, Earl said he had an engineer that actually worked on the project to actually make the tether, and he said that these things that were floating around were actually the washers, robots as he called them, which had the square cut in them, like that there. And there was hundreds of them that sort of obviously broke free from within the cable, the tether cable. And that's what we were seeing. They're not actually motherships or UFOs. And the camera they had sort of made them look like they were pulsating, but they were actually spinning and reflecting light differently. But he's going to talk about something different, like the orbs. Now, I'm not sure if he realizes that these robots may not be UFOs. So the orbs that he's going to talk about here could be just ice crystals. So we'll see what he says. So I'm already a bit skeptical of his claims, if that's what he's going to talk about. But yeah, it's amazing what you find out through people that know, people that work in NASA and all that, and then you find out these secrets that an engineer seen the blueprint of the experiment and said it had all these robots in it, which no one's ever said before. And I said to Earl, could he get hold of the blueprints for us to put it onto a live show, because that's really important stuff if no one's actually brought it forward before. And statement of his cousin that worked on it, and he said, "Oh, try," but that never happened. So, so you just have to take our word for it. That's our discussion. It's not actually private or anything, private information, because it needs to be solved, doesn't it? You know, we just carry on.
And it broke, and it was powered up to such a level that it started to attract things in space, and these are some of the objects that it tracked. NASA always, okay, so you can't say these are weather balloons or temperature inversions or like swamp gas. So the newest thing from NASA is dust. Oh, it's a dust on the lens. So that's what they call this. It's kind of a dust particle material on the lens, something that flew off when the tether broke. It's just dust particles. But if you look at
No,
YouTube videos
that's
of
wrong.
this STS-75 incident on that date, you'll see that these
75
discs are actually flying
That's
and
78.
maneuvering in a very intelligent way and changing shapes, blinking, I would say. It's really interesting to see. So let's see what might happen if we detected an orb in space. Well, so let's say that they discover light energy orbs under intelligent control, flying in formation with intent to go to a destination. The first thing that the imagery analyst would do is to rule out foreign military technology, confirm that it's not a advanced aircraft. And so they would ask weapons intelligence analysts like my shop, for example, which studied signals coming from these advanced aircraft of other countries to see, could it be that? Could it be, like, for example, plasma stealth generators that were hooked up to the highest flying aircraft in the Russian inventory, the MiG-31, which can routinely fly between 85 to 100,000 feet and broke the altitude record at 123,000 feet. That's pretty high. Could it be that with a stealth plasma stealth generator? And no, it could not, because we know, when they were in flight, and they did not conform to the events of these energy orbs. So we can rule that out as a cause of these orbs to be seen. So if it's not anything that is adversary technology, then we have to look on the ground and see if the software might have been malfunctioning. And the software...
I did actually analyze that STS-75 video, but I never ever completed it fully because it was a long process. But I'm trying to think of what orbs he's talking about, because I know there was ice particles that seemed to turn 90 degrees. But since then, I have come to new information that ice particles can actually slow down, stop, and change directions, because there's such thing as solar wind, and the solid actually heats up through radiation and stuff, and can cause pockets of gas to explode off the
That
ice.
sounds like jumping through hoops and mental gymnastics to me, Paul. I'm staying on the fence with all that.
I don't think so. I think NASA is correct to say that ice particles or dust particles, but in this
they've
case,
been making up silly excuses for stuff for decades now. I don't give a shit what anyone says. They're NASA.
Yeah, I only follow the evidence and I only follow the science.
So do
science.
But I don't trust NASA, and I don't trust their official explanations, Paul. There's no reason for me to trust them.
Okay, so I did a part 2 here. STS-75 part 2. So let's see.
They've always been uncomfortable with the UFO topic. Always been very uncomfortable with it. I don't trust them.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see where my analysis was, because I wanted to see how it was turning, whether everything could be explained in the video for turning. So let's see, whereabouts was it? So I need chapters in these ones because they're really old. You can tell by the side chat here. Is it there?
I don't know. Also, they filmed underneath, so we never saw any holes.
So what do we got here? We got the so-called grommets, and we also got the tether, which is glowing. So the dots might be the smaller ones that he's talking about. But if we get the path analysis of see how they're moving, which is what I was trying to do, could we explain all the movement in the video is what I was trying to...
So, yeah.
So where did I do it? Here we go. So I was building
He's
up the
gonna
path
move it.
analysis.
So I probably chose a bad place to do all this. Oh well.
So I probably need to finish that episode off.
I think it was the experimental one, wasn't it? With
it's amazing how long you spend on it just for a few,
right.
like 20 seconds. I'll probably be at the end
push
of that.
that.
Where it's all put together. There
I
we
need
go.
to untick all the ones that are not.
You can see what I was doing there. You can see the gaps in between here too. So why is there gaps in between? Because we wasn't adding all the frames in that instance to speed it up to see how it's going to turn. But you can see how everything's turning there. It's all over the place, right? So it can't be classed as engine thrust. That one's coming down, going up that way. And this one's going to bend around that way. These ones look like they're bending that way. So can it be explained by solar wind on each of the particles? I don't think so, because they're too close together, right? Could it be classed as that they're being heated up by the sun, the same as the tether? Because they're pretty well lit up there, but they had special cameras, so they're filming it in UV mostly, wasn't it? I'd have to check on that fact though. So yeah, do I get it play on all?
Delete all the ones not ticked.
I was doing it manual process here, step by step, and then created an emanated gift of it, hopefully.
That's again. Then you put it into Vegas.
Showing you the process so you can do it yourself. Oh, what happened there? Oh, that thing. I hate that.
There's probably some specialized software that does this anyway. I'm doing it the hard way, probably.
I think probably Adobe has something for it. Where's the gifts? I think I did actually put it on Google Drive today. There. Emanated gifts. Pastebin. I wonder if they still work. Let's give it a try.
Well, I just wonder if, how only less than 1%.
Okay, so let's have a look at that one there. Is it still working? Yeah, it looks like it. Was it not playing it though? Well, it is. It's gradually loading it. So that's how it's moving around, but we can't see individually how they're turning and stuff without the path analysis, right? So is he talking about these round blinking things, the grommets, as the orbs in this case, or is he talking about something else? So that's one of them.
I don't know. Maybe let the interviews in and find out.
Yeah, but we need to know what he's first talking about, this experiment. Okay, there's my path analysis. Looks like it's erasing them. Going back the other way, is it? There we go. That's how everything's moving. It's like a lot of worms in space. But they're not actually worms. That's just the same particle moving and turning. So that's as far as I got with it. And maybe it wasn't the best place to analyse it, I don't know. But yeah, I just can't tell whether that's critters in space or crazy ice particles that are changing direction, all different directions. Seems to go against logic. If it was a single one that was turning, then you could say so, but all those in different directions. Yeah, so yeah, if you want to go and grab that episode that I'm working on, I'll post it in a minute, and you can just get these from Pastebin as well. God, I did that long time ago, didn't I? 3 years
When
ago,
was
I
that?
think.
3 years.
Well,
Okay.
I'll find out in a minute. STS-75. My research into it. What's the year? I normally put the timestamp in, but Google does now. 2018, August 2018 there. So if you go to the description, you can actually get access to these GIFs, which was the final results at different places in the video. Okay, this one's going this direction instead of reverse. There was probably a reason why I did it reverse, I can't remember now. So yeah, independently controlled. Yeah, really it needs to be zoomed in as well, doesn't it? So these ones look like the grommet ones. They look like grommets here. These bright ones also look like grommet ones. So what's that one there? Is that another grommet? Reflecting sunlight. But that means the grommets are turning, right? And what's producing energy for them to turn? Because they're not ice, you see. They're actually a piece of rubber. Which is another mystery, as it's some sort of electromagnetic charge on the tether here that's sort of pulling them in. Something strange going on. More questions than answers, really. Anyway, we'll just carry on with that interview.
As always.
And what's the top one? Ping. Let's have a look. Was it a up close thing or what? Oh no, that's the final. It kind of looks like one of those security cam videos of bugs flying around a light, doesn't it? That's really what it looks like on long exposure. So that's what you'd get if you had the camera set to long exposure, which they didn't do. NASA didn't set it to long exposure, because then you would get a nice, interesting pattern like that, which would probably make it easier to see where everything's moving to. Anyway, just keep that going.
Where it was confirmed to be working within specifications. So, okay, what's next? Well, how about the spacecraft itself? How about the birds? We call spacecraft birds. How about the birds themselves? Are they working? And the birds were all functioning fine according to NRO. NRO is responsible for the care and feeding of the birds in orbit, and everything checked out fine. So now we have an interesting situation here. So the NGA and NRO reforms the DNI about what's going on up there. That's very unusual. And so the DNI decides we need to take a deeper dive into this. Let's examine what's going on here. So the DNI authorizes the establishment of a working group and also establishes a compartment to control dissemination as they study this. So the NGA, as lead agency, briefs the other agencies. Now, what do I mean by lead agency? The agency that owns the data is the agency that is the lead agency. They own the data because it's in their purview. NGA does imagery, and these were images. So as the lead agency, they're responsible then for conducting the working group. So they will brief CIA, NSA, DIA, maybe the Department of Energy. And within each of those agencies, they will establish an intra or internal agency working group and read in their own subject matter experts. And so now they gather all the subject matter experts together along with contractors, and they're the usual contractors that you are aware of, like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon. These are the big four. They read in their scientists and engineers, and they all meet together. And they'll invite all the concerned parties together to study the phenomena. And more collection might be tasked. Let's collect more data and see what's going on. The objective is to reach some kind of consensus and write a report for the DNI. They owe the report to the DNI since they brought it up to the DNI.
I think they would have got a lot more progress if they just made it public domain, right? So any data they collect, dump it in public domain and let anyone analyze it, because there's a lot of bright people out there. And also these experts in these government departments are less exposed to, say, like someone like me. I've probably seen more than my share of UFO videos and photographs now to know what is legit and what is mundane, explainable stuff and what is a hoax, right? And we know that these guys have been called out because
you have to understand that these places it's all in compartments. They only have a limited amount of people that have the clearance to be working on this at the same time. It's just totally against any logic for them to release it to the public. It's just not how it works. It'd be great if they did, wouldn't it? But they've never done that. Ever done that? Why would they start doing it now? It's a little bit naive, that one, Paul, I'm afraid. It's not realistic, is it?
Well, there must be a way to release...
You said one thing there, though. You'd have more people looking at it that way, and you're more likely to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
You know,
but there might be a way to modularize it or compartmentalize the information so people can look at it and maybe get an answer and then put it all together without giving away too much information. Like if it's like we filmed this object chasing F-14, but maybe you can get away with not actually saying what the location, what date and time it was, and maybe get people then to look at the video footage and analyze it and calculate the speed and all that sort of stuff. A bit like Mick West, right? There's people out there that's probably better at doing that sort of stuff than the people they've got employed there, you know. Because you're a scientist doesn't mean that you're a very good ufology scientist, right? It's a different mindset. All they're thinking is war and Russian or Chinese technology, right? And that's what they're sort of focused on. They're sort of thinking, oh, it's man-made technology or whatever, and rather than just follow the evidence and see where it leads.
Yeah, I know, but you do understand that these things are so highly classified that it's only for limited eyes.
Yeah, but maybe now it's more open. There's no reason why it still should be closed doors.
This interview is something that you wouldn't have seen 5 years ago. You wouldn't have seen somebody from the intelligence services doing a podcast talking this openly about the phenomena. And he's even telling you how some of these intelligence agencies work. He's even hinting where to go looking for more information and what have you. I think we're going in the right direction, Paul, yes.
Well, there might be some keywords there for green John
Yeah,
Greenwood.
John Greenwald. Yeah. I'm sure he'll have taken note of this.
Yeah, and do some more FOIA requests with this keyword instead, and see
Yeah,
what comes up.
the only thing is that he mentioned the DOE, Department of Energy. Now, the trouble with them is, you see, you can hide anything you like there because it's exempt from FOIA.
I think John's
Yeah,
mentioned that though, hasn't he? For
yeah. So
various contractors, that's a good way to hide stuff in plain sight.
absolutely.
And of course, what they do with the contractors, they modularize it, right? So if a UFO crash, you don't send the whole UFO to Bigelow, you send them maybe the car seat in it to analyze.
Yeah,
and say,
I get you.
This is what we found on the desert floor, what materials it made from, and let us know if it's got any strange isotopes and all that sort of stuff. And then another part of the craft sent to somewhere else, and so on. And then
so that way no one's got the complete picture.
No, that's right. But well, we'll keep on going with this. It's a wee bit dry for probably most people that watch us here, maybe.
So the DNI will get this report about this orb phenomenon happening. And by the way, NGA does not look at imagery over the Earth from NRO satellites. They're looking at imagery over the Earth in adversarial countries or foreign countries. So you can assume that this happened, let's say Russia, that these orbs appeared over Russian airspace. So the DNI briefs the president and offers decision levers. It's important to understand that the intelligence community never, ever makes policy. Only the president makes policy. And so they offer policy recommendations to the president, but it's based on data and informed by analysis. So decision lever 1, I threw 3 of them together, 3 that made sense. Well, first is to observe but continue active collection and analysis. This is a very passive stance. Just keep watching and see what happens. The second is to engage the phenomena in some way, but don't threaten it. That is, let's fly something toward it, or do something perhaps to attract its attention, but don't make it feel like it's in danger. We're just trying to see what reaction might come by engaging this phenomenon. And the third is very dangerous because it's not only engaging a phenomenon, but provoking a reaction. And provoking in the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2022 that left the House and it's on its way to the Senate. There's a provision in there for this UAP office within the Pentagon to report on efforts to capture a UAP. When you tell the Department of Defense that you're interested in capturing a UAP and you want reports on progress for capturing a UAP, it gives the Department of Defense the idea that it's a kinetic response. And so that's decision lever 3, provoke a reaction. And I don't recommend shooting anything down. I think that's a bad decision. That's my opinion, but it's up to the policymakers to decide how they want to handle that part of the NDAA. Sue Gordon was the primary principal deputy director of DNI in 2020, and she resigned in 2020. And so she's asking, she knows that the intelligence community is great at collecting data. They collect more data than they know what to do with. NSA collects so much data that they had to build a giant data center in Utah in order to hold all the data they collect. So we're great at collecting data, but we're not so great at processing the data or analyzing data to solve problems. And that's true with the UAP side as well. It's easy to collect data, but it's not so easy to find out what's in the data and what does it mean. And that leads to the UAP task force report. So when I read the UAP task force preliminary assessment, I came up with a few pointers of how I interpreted it. It was very clear to me that the military tactical sensors on board the FA-18 Hornet were inadequate collectors of infrared data. Sure, I mean, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. As you saw, the engagement box was locked on to the UAPs in flight, right in the center. Had they launched a missile, if the UAP didn't detect it and move out of the way, the missile would have been directed toward that engagement center. But that's all they did. It's not designed to like collect data and actually look at the infrared signature in a scientific way. It's designed to put a weapon onto a target based on a heat signature. So clearly that was inadequate. It was also made clear that the UAPs seem to have drawn, the national strategic sensors seem to have drawn the attention of the UAPs. And that's, to me, very fascinating, because amongst those national strategic sensors, as you know, are NRO imaging satellites. And if the UAPs were drawn to the national imagery satellites, there's a possibility that there could be like really good pictures of them, and pictures that, who knows, may have been, and video maybe, of these objects in flight in a very detailed fashion. So that's something that has not been released, and probably will not be released, because it will give away the performance of the NRO platforms, which are very, very good. The other one, the X-37B, I thought would get redacted. I put it in there on the chance that it wouldn't, because I associated the X-37B craft with a strategic sensor. But it is like a mini space shuttle. It has a payload bay doors that open, but it's completely unmanned. There's no one flying it. It flies autonomously. But it seems like if the UAPs were interested in some of our most advanced sensors, XB-37B is an advanced sensor. It was also clear that we lacked collection assets on the ground where the UAPs were interested, like DoD facilities, Department of Energy facilities,
Hard drives.
intelligence community facilities, and NASA facilities. We don't have anything under the water or of persistence that could collect against anything like that. Persistence meaning it's there 24/7, collecting and sending information for analysis. But
he says that there was a radar collected, wasn't there? And the hard drives were taken. Which is really strange.
What were you talking about there? The Nimitz encounters? Yeah, sure. And it's not unusual. It's been happening for decades. They've got a big database of UAP information, a huge one.
Yeah,
but I think it would be quite conclusive evidence if it ever was to come out. But that's not what they're doing, is it? This is clearly organised, and it's clearly drip.
Now this has been on TV, 3-4 years now. You think they'd just say, "Oh, here's the radar data for the hard drives that were removed," and make it open then for that one case. But would it show up how sloppy they were, or does it still impact on how they do things now? I don't know. Because he's talking about how they would defend in it and what they could detect, right? If the Russians knew what they could see, maybe that's a risk. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter now.
I mean, it's quite well known that a lot of stuff is overclassified. There's some stuff that's classified that really doesn't need to be classified. And you know what I mean? If the army, for example, now were to change the diet of the troops, they'd classify it. You know, even if it was from fish and chips to Cocoa Pops, they'd classify it. It's just silly, you know. But yeah, that's how they work. They're paranoid by nature, by its very nature. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Getting stuff declassified is a slow process, as we know. Painstaking.
Yep. But they should prove that the radar data is available, I reckon. Even if they don't provide it all.
Yeah.
Just a small segment where the thing backs up David Favors. What's his name?
Kevin Day.
Kevin Day. Yeah, back up his claim of seeing hundreds, as well as that coming from high altitude to low altitude. That's all you need to show. And it backs up the footage then, and their claims.
I know. We've got limited data to work with. It's a shame. So we're not getting the full picture.
Mm-hmm.
As part of the NDAA, FY 2022, it establishes an office within the Pentagon to do this 24/7. So that's a good thing. It's now not just a task force that's temporary, but a permanent office. And there's a reporting requirement of 180 days. Not just one report, but every 180 days. We need a report, an update on what you're doing in terms of investigating and analyzing these UAPs. On the intelligence side, there are no national intelligence officers, NIOs for UAPs. They write the National Intelligence Estimate. The official analysis of a major issue is called a National Intelligence Estimate. There's no one covering that for UAPs. There are national intelligence officers for aviation, but I think UAPs might be more advanced than just covering aviation, for example. They need one for UAPs. And also, there's no subject matter experts covering UAPs as full-time analytic accounts. And what that means is there's no one there walking in the door and saying, your job is UAPs. That's all you do until the day you retire. There's no one like that. What happens is that in the course of doing our regular day-to-day analysis, which is, in my case, funded by the CIA program, CIAP, or at the DIA, the funding vehicle is called the General Defense Intelligence Program, or GDIP. It's just a big, huge pot of money, which is doled out by the respective financial officers, chief financial officers in each of these agencies to the various groups and divisions within that agency to do certain things. So that's how you can do something within an intelligence agency without having a really big formal contract. It's part of your job, because that money also pays for your usual cast of contractors that are with you day in and day out, working side by side with you, as well as the government staff that are in there day in, day out. So unless you have to buy a building and buy a whole lot of equipment to put in that building, or deploy somewhere with that equipment and contractors deploying, you don't really need a special program budget. But you can carve it out of your existing budget, because, for example, one of my jobs might have been to look at the ballistic missile defense system of Russia. And they may have radars that may have tracked UAPs. Do I need to have a budget to say, okay, I want to study these UAPs tracked by these Russian radars? No, I don't. So that's how that's done. And the intricacies of the budget will give you a headache. It's basically looking at yards of spreadsheets with tiny little numbers on them. So let's clear up some misconceptions here. So one of the things I've been upset at is when people claim to have worked in the intelligence community And just them opening their mouth and saying a few sentences, I know that they've never set foot in any intelligence agency. And
Yeah.
they've had zero access. And for whatever reason, they portray themselves as intelligence officers. I don't know. It could be just notoriety or just speakers' fees at
Who's he talking
conferences,
about,
sell
though?
books. I don't know. But there's a few things that have happened that will prevent people like me from coming forward. Because
So what we need here is him to list off the people that he thinks don't work in intelligence, because
Yeah.
that would be that'd be a most
It
interesting
would
list.
be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You know, all these people now. Well, I'm not going to mention any names, okay?
No.
But they claim they've got their sources within the government, and they're learning this and they're learning that, and big things are going to happen, and woo, sensation. And it never actually happens. You know, it makes me wonder, do these people bother checking? Do they bother doing a background check on these so-called sources of theirs? I'm not sure they do, you know. We know Linda Moulton House certainly doesn't. When she was caught out in that sting, good God, man, unbelievable. Nah, there's several people who reckon they've got their sources. UFO Jesus, Joe Mergia, Jeremy Corbell. Well, obviously Jeremy Corbell did have some kind of was it disinformation? We don't know, do we? They've always been up to those games, you know. Well, there we go. I mean, George Knapp is a good journalist. You'd think he would vet these sources. I don't know.
I think Corbell got most of it from Nep anyway. So if Nep had
absolutely,
would have sent him the contexts. I think Corbell didn't find them. I don't think he was approached. I think they approached Nep, and then Nep.
I would imagine so.
Moved them on to Corbell, maybe.
I don't know. It seems like Corbell and Knapp have been kind of in bed together for quite some time now, haven't they? Although some people have suggested literally. I don't know.
Hasn't this YouTube sort of went from a few hundred or a few thousand people to like 200,000 now or something?
Really? I don't know.
Yeah, apparently.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm not sure if you can find his YouTube channel, Corbell, but you can find out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's getting more and more popular, especially on Twitter, anyway.
Yeah. So what Dan Avilob, Harvard professor, said, I don't know, what did he say? What did he say, Dan? Here we go. Rather than wonder about possible scenarios, we should collect better scientific data. And yeah, that's fine. But there's big question marks now over that Galileo project, because they've got Louise on board, they've got Nick Pope on board, they've got Chris Mellon on board. Seth Shostak was another one, which raised a few eyebrows, and people don't like that. Yeah, this can be done by deploying state-of-the-art cameras on wild fields. Yeah, that's what they're doing, I believe. Yes. I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully, something good will come out of it.
We'll see. I guess.
I hope he realizes, though, that like Louise and Mellon still have ties in the government. There's no question about that.
Yeah, the problem I have, though, is like MUFON, they do keep stuff locked down, don't they? They don't release some of the best stuff. And will they do that the same as MUFON, where they lock down stuff and say it's still open case, and it's open case for 5 years, 10 years, you never get to see.
I know. It's frustrating, to say the least.
Yeah, well, time will tell.
Yeah.
When we have true facts, and those facts run up against one of these imposters saying that this isn't the way it happened. This guy is fake. We're the true guys, and the fake guys are saying we're fake. And all of a sudden, the UFO community just comes down upon us because they believe this other guy more than they believe the true guy.
Is he talking about goof on?
So that's happened where I talked to my colleagues saying, why don't you come out like I'm doing? And they said, no way. No way. I don't need to be insulted by these people who have no idea what they're talking about. And
that sounds like goof on to me.
Those people.
He's talking about
I hope that what I'm doing will encourage them that if they have information, there's a way to present it for everyone that's legal, that's not a whistleblower, that's not leaking information. You don't want to attract the attention of counterintelligence people in the government by saying, I work for NSA and I have this information. That automatically,
that sounds like Tyler's
if you're a researcher
Dr.
receiving
Norton.
that information, nothing happens to you, Mr. or Ms. Researcher. Nothing happens to you. In the United States, possession of classified information, you can't be prosecuted for that. But the person who disseminates classified information can be prosecuted. So they look at you just to find out who you're talking to. So it's very dangerous unless you vet that person thoroughly, to gather information from outside sources, because two things are happening. Either they're truly leaking real information and they're doing it illegally, and the counterintelligence people are already onto them because you, as a researcher, announced that I have this and here's a slide. They're on it right away. Secondly, it's a planned, truly planned disinformation. They just want to stir the waters up just to cause mischief. And there might be people who might misuse their position to cause mischief. So that's very important to consider. So we're going to look at MK Ultra and what's an agent, above top secret, and cosmic. So MK Ultra, everyone knows. Actually, people say mind control. It's actually behavioral modification. And mind control might be part of it. The MK part refers to an organization within CIA that existed during the Cold War. It's the Directorate of Plans. It's now called the Directorate of Operations.
On it.
For a brief period of time, it's called the National Clandestine Service. But MK, when this program was running, was the Directorate of Plans. And specifically, the Technical Services Division within the Directorate of Plans. They ran the MK Ultra program. So the MK is a digraph. MK Ultra is what we know as a cryptonym for that program. So just having MK doesn't mean it has anything to do with behavioral modification. It just means it's a program in Technical Services Division. So let's look at some of the history. Now, Project Chatter, 1947, interesting date. That's when they start exploring like mind control, behavioral modification. And it's my personal speculation that I'm not sure it's because the Russians were doing it in 1947. But it's interesting that 47 was about the time that the Nazi scientists were, and actually the SS officers were working alongside the CIA. And could it be a telepathic encounter with a Roswell ET survivor? This is purely like speculation. But 47 is an interesting date. And the fact that it was first called Project Chatter was also interesting to me. Bluebird took over in 1950, Artichoke 51, and finally 53 was MK Ultra. And MK Search later was about creating a truth serum for interrogating captured Soviet spies. But going back to Ultra, it studied the feasibility of LSD. And it also had two goals. One's offensive, that is, can you manipulate a foreign leader? And defensive, can we prevent the use of this manipulation? Can we prevent it from having an effect on our own leaders?
How'd you do that with a bunch of hookers?
The MK program, as MK Ultra ceased in the about early 70s, 70 to 2 thereabouts. The reason why you know anything about it is because it was revealed in the congressional investigations of CIA through the Church Committee, for example, was one. The Pike, I believe it was the Pike Commission as well. I might need correction on that. But the House and the Senate both investigated CIA, and the MK Ultra program was revealed. It would not have been revealed had it still been ongoing. So the program does not exist. However, it was a springboard to research paranormal metaphysics. Here's where the higher consciousness, remote viewing, psychoenergetics, telekinesis. Psychoenergetics is a catch-all phrase of being able to use your mind to expand, I would say, consciousness expansion, mind expansion, and all the effects that that might have. And
in the distance.
Along with that is spoon bending. It might interest you that there was a McDonnell Douglas executive in Huntington Beach, California, who invited CIA officers to bend spoons with him, and his name was Jack Houck. If you know Melinda Leslie, she talks very much about Jack Houck, and she does sponsor spoon bending parties as well, like Jack did. CIA officers were engaged in spoon bending to show you how serious we were about the paranormal and metaphysical aspects. So we know that MK Ultra is not operational today, but what is operational is even more interesting. The Intelligence Advanced Research Projects Agency is the IC version of DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. I guess ours is called an activity. So what they're interested in, among many things that's related to MK Ultra, genome editing, for example, bioinformatics, biometrics, you can read it for yourself, DNA sequencing, brain activity, psychometrics. There's a website where you can explore more of what they're doing. And of interest to me was MIST, Molecular Information Storage, using DNA to store digital data. It's like William Gibson's Neuromancer, Johnny Mnemonic coming to life. They're actually looking at the feasibility of DNA storing data.
Hey, I talk about
Let's look at some classifications.
I tell you what, I'm
secret,
ahead of my time.
There's nothing really above top secret. It's all top secret. But there are compartments that are so narrow and so limited as to who's read into them that for all intents and purposes, they might as well be above top secret, because just having a top secret clearance does not necessarily qualify you to have that information. The one that I know related to Bob Fisher again is crypto. The crypto clearance. He claims to have had an above top secret clearance. What he really meant to say is, I had a top secret crypto clearance. Not many people have that. So that's an example of a so-called above top secret clearance. And if you look at FOIAs, you'll see an alphabet soup of markings. The most common one is SITK no form. Top secret is obvious. Special intelligence is communications intelligence, or SIGINT. Talent keyhole. Talent is ISR, is airborne sensors. Keyhole is space-based sensors. The keyhole, why keyhole? Well, the pattern that the satellites make over the Earth is very much like an hourglass, except the very top of that hourglass is very narrow ellipse, and the bottom of that hourglass is a much longer ellipse, slightly wider. So it reminded NRO of keyholes. So therefore, they named that program keyhole, that compartment keyhole. No foreign means no foreign, and that means not even to Five Eyes. The British UFO files were labeled UK only, no foreign, which means that the British did not share its files with the US government. It kept those files to itself until they were formally released. Let's look at Cosmic. I used to listen to Art Bell when he hosted Coast to Coast AM, And he would have like either call in, when he had open lines, or somebody would call in as a guest claiming to have cosmic top secret clearance, and they know all about the UFO, what's going on behind the scenes, and here's my story because I had cosmic top secret. Cosmic does not, just because it's cosmic doesn't mean anything to do with UFOs or UAPs. Cosmic refers to a NATO classification. It's held within NATO only. The US IC does not use cosmic in anything. But if you look at NATO documents, if you FOIA those, and I don't think they have an FOIA process over in NATO, but they will have markings for cosmic. So what would it contain? It could contain things that are of vital interest to NATO, such as the movement of Russian leaders back in the Cold War. If the Russian leadership, the Communist Party leadership, headed for the bunkers, the tanks from the First Guards Army headed for Fulda Gap on the East German, West German border. So you got leadership getting out of town, tanks on the border, and you're seeing indications that the strategic rocket forces, the ICBMs, are getting ready to launch. That's cosmic importance, right? So that's the kind of thing got labeled cosmic. There are no agents at CIA. No NSA agents, NRO, DIA, NGA. We don't have agents. We have officers. Now, the FBI, the DEA, Secret Service, law enforcement components have agents, but not in the intelligence community. We're officers, and you can read the kind of officers we are. But we're never agents. So what's an agent? It's basically a foreign citizen from another country, a foreign national, citizen of another country, who, for whatever reason, mostly we find that folks overseas want to help the United States for ideological purposes. And they are compensated monetarily or with goods and services. They have information to provide because they're in a position to provide that information to us, and we compensate them accordingly. Now, in police work, it's known as a CI, so a confidential informant. Anyone who is a police officer knows what a CI is. And a police officer knows that just because the CI is providing information.
You want us to skip to, yeah?
Yeah, I think at 1 hour, I mean, people can catch up with this in their own time if they like. I mean, I enjoyed the interview. Gives you a good idea of how the intelligence community works and who's doing what. It wasn't bothering to me, but I can imagine it being bothering to a lot of people. But
you don't know half of it.
Yeah, well,
I get attacked all the time about my live streams being too long.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
Where you want to skip to?
About 1 hour 42. I think it was something. I'm not sure now. I think it's about there anyway. Yeah, if I watch a podcast and there's somebody interesting talking and it's only 30 minutes long, I feel like I've been shortchanged. You know what I mean? I like a podcast to be good couple of hours long because you're not going to get much in half an hour.
No, you're not. So here's some pictures. What's he talking about there?
There were alien forces on the Earth, and that there were like ancestors of Atlantis on the Earth, and the government knows about this. That was this whole thing about the book. So read the book and just hold it lightly.
What's the book?
Just hold it lightly. It is more of a science fiction book, but this guy was kind of informed. Now, for you guys who've seen Men in Black, the movie Men in Black with Tommy Lee Jones, what's the connection to Chase Brandon? They're first cousins, and Chase Brandon was the Hollywood liaison officer. He helped Hollywood with scripts of making it more
go,
realistic.
Brandon. Shit, we'll be in trouble now.
Having the production crew and the actors to CIA headquarters to see CIA officers at work. So they're better
Limited
informed about
ads.
how to act like a CIA officer and sort of like have a more better story about how CIA really works. Robert Gates said that, hey, I have a respect for Chase, and I'm not going to question what Chase says. He didn't say what Chase said was BS or wrong or he's crazy.
I'm really skeptical about Chase Brandon and his book. I'll tell you why. The book wasn't a UFO book, but in it, he describes when he came across groundbreaking information about the Roswell crash, and he said he accidentally walked into an office and there was a cardboard box full of files, and it had Roswell written on the outside of the cardboard box. Yeah. And without permissions, he went through these documents and came across conclusive evidence that Roswell happened. Then there was bodies and all that. Yeah, that's a very unlikely story. Yeah, it really is.
Mm. Whereabouts was the box exactly? In the storeroom, or what?
He just happened to wander into a room, and he was looking for somewhere else, and there was nobody in the room, and he seen this box labelled Roswell, so he decided to take a look. Now, come on, if that was true, I think he'd find himself in deep water by publishing that. Do you know what I mean? No, I don't believe a lot of what Chase Brandon is saying. I've never read the book, to be honest, but I'm aware of that part of it. He's done quite a few interviews.
All right, whereabouts was the office again? What building? Pentagon, was it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Oh, in the CIA.
The Pentagon.
Yeah. Don't the CIA have their own building?
Not sure. I guess they do. Well, they have buildings all over the place, probably, but
I think so. I'm not sure where the headquarters is.
Excuse me. Yeah, sort of makes sense. If you got like top secret stuff, you wouldn't have a box with Roswell just lying around on a desk. in a office that's not locked or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be in a box unless it was going to be destroyed as well. It'd probably be kept in a vault of anything.
And of course, it wouldn't have Roswell written on it, for God's sakes. It would just have the file number.
Yeah. Well, it'd have Roswell, maybe a file number, data collection number 1 or something, it'd be something more than that, I'd say, as well.
I don't think it would be left lying about for anybody to find.
But if you went on a lie detector test or passed the body language panel guys as well, then you might change your mind.
Yeah, but he's also he's probably trained in how to avoid these things.
Yeah.
There's techniques you can use to beat a polygraph. Squeezing your bum cheeks is one, so they say.
Yeah. Yep. That changes the pressure flow, but that might not be good enough nowadays. The one is cough syrup and a few puffs of weed that I've heard. From an ex-vet guy who said he was shown a presentation by one of the commanders there how to beat a lie detector test, and one of it was a certain type of cough mixture, I can't remember what it was called, and a few puffs of weed, and he could just lie like anything and would pass the detector test. But yeah, he said that's why they have to do blood tests with it at the same time. But would weed be detected in a blood test? Unless you're looking for it, I guess. Woodcough mesh to be detected in the tests.
I
See,
don't
they're
see
sort of
why
like
not.
they're two like minimum things, right? They're not actually like hardcore LSD or anything like that. They're just weed and the cough syrup, and they could be, cough syrup could be just not be part of the checks they do for blood tests,
So
but maybe.
are you supposed to use both in combination, or will they work individually?
Yes. No, you meant to use it in combination.
I see. Okay.
Apparently, if you go back to the Travis Walton case, most of them were having puffs of weed before the tests, from what I heard anyway, and some of the stuff. Like the sheriff, was it the sheriff one? And they seemed a bit nervous, so they're having some ciggies or weed outside. But yeah, we know that Travis didn't pass a lot of his tests, but he's one.
Travis,
Him and Roger, the only two that were on the prank, or maybe it's a prank that got out of hand, or maybe they wanted that to temporarily extend some contract deal before, rather than losing it completely, and then they thought it would be forgotten, but then they saw that it was probably a good money earner, because there's so much interest in it. So we don't know what kind of thinking they had there if they did prank
we
it.
know who ran with the story, don't we? We know who ran with the story, and they all got
quite a good money.
Chunk of cash.
Travis got like half a year's salary back then, as equivalent to, I think it was, wasn't it?
You got £2,000 each.
No, we did some calculations on a show that I did with Charles, and it was quite a good sum of money for that time.
Oh, but, that was £25,000. Yes, I can't remember.
No. It was 2,500, I think, not 25,000. And I think the average salary back then was like 8,000, 7,000. For a high-end sort of job. But anyway, I suppose we should move on. Whether Travis is
hold on a sec.
real or not is still debated.
Was done by, Paul, let me finish. His first polygraph was done by the National Enquirer. Now,
right,
and he failed. He failed badly, apparently. But the National Enquirer was running with the story, you see. So they just didn't mention that in the newspaper.
Yeah.
So he failed that one, and he failed another one on the TV show. But he did pass 4 or 5 others.
There's a few more he failed that you haven't heard about. Yeah. Plus, you don't hear that he actually cherry picked the questions too. He wouldn't answer certain questions. Like did a beam of light hit you? Obviously he's going to pass that, right? Did you see a UFO? No, he didn't. Well, I suppose technically if he's got his mindset right, he could pass that one too. Like you said, it's unknown. So it depends how much you knew about how the prank was going to work, of course. What's the other things where you could see sort of general questions that sort of leads into a story confirming, right? Did you see a light in the forest? Yes, that he would pass that. What else would you do? Did they leave you behind? Yes, obviously that's true. And then he might fail some other questions if they were asked, like, were you really abducted? Yes, fail. But apparently, for the blood work that come back proved that he was... the ketones proved that he wasn't in starvation mode. He was missing for 5 days on an alien ship, and he didn't get anything to eat. Based on his,
that suggests he must have had something to eat.
Yeah, that's right. So
Or did he lose
mate,
£7 in the 5 days he lost, I think, yes?
he lost £7, did he?
Yeah, I
I
think if
don't
he
remember
had
seeing that
no
fact.
food at all and no water, he'd have lost more than that, you know.
I never heard about the £7. Never come across that before. You sure that's a
Oh, yeah.
true proven fact?
Yeah. He lost £7, yes.
But you could do that having a crap though, can't you? Come on.
Oh, well, that's a big
Yeah,
one, that.
yeah. Yeah, but if you just went to someone's house to hang out for 5 days eating crackers and cheese or stuff, you're probably going to lose some weight, and especially if he was a beer drinker, and suddenly he's not drinking as much because he's staying at someone's house. And in this case, people said he was staying in a tower, but there wouldn't be much up there, would there, for 5 days or whatever. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you could lose £7 in 5 days.
Well, you can.
Yeah.
If you have no water and no food whatsoever, I think you'd be losing a stone.
Yeah, but the problem is, in that case, you should have had crazy ketones where the body was
Exactly.
consuming itself.
Yeah.
So that was inconsistent. But maybe that £7 is incorrect information. Maybe he frigged the weigh-in, or
Well, I'd like to know who actually had seen his weight beforehand.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm
Just him
trying
and
to
his
say.
mum. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that's a sketchy one.
Yeah, I think that is. But anyway, better carry on. Why is it not working?
He didn't say that. In fact, he said that he can't, you know, he's not going to say either way whether it's right or wrong, that Chase may have made it up or not, but he has a lot of respect for him. So this pretty much shows that CIA doesn't think UFOs are fake, because on the CIA website, if you go to that URL, you'll see tips on how to investigate a UFO. And they use the Lonnie Zamora incident of April 24, 1964 as the exemplar. This is how you investigate a UFO. Nowhere on that page, if you read it yourself, do they say that UFOs are fake, that they're actually are aircraft, or that they're anything like swamp gas, weather balloons, all the above. No, they say this is how you investigate a UFO. And by the way, the Lonnie Zamora incident seemed to be a very credible incident. So you can go ahead and look at that, and that's a fun read. And then, of course, you have the former directors of the National Intelligence and Central Intelligence, that there are a lot more sightings than have been made public. And that's from an informed way of saying that there's a lot more sightings than the 143 plus balloon that were not made public. And of course, Ambassador Woolsey related the story of his pilot friend, his plane stopping at midair at 40,000 feet. And CIA Director Brennan went on to say that it's something that we don't understand, the type of phenomena we don't understand, and it might be a different form of life. So now we come to personal speculations. This is the history part. Okay, paperclip. Used to be called Overcast and changed the name to paperclip. Germany surrendered early May 45. We know that. But immediately thereafter, there was the Joint Intelligence Objectives Agency started to operate to collect the Nazi archives and locate Nazi scientists. And who helped them? Well, it was the Nazi party officials and SS officers. In fact, Waffen SS troops from the 15th, 19th, and 20th Waffen SS divisions from the Baltic states switched uniforms, wore American uniforms, and guarded their former masters, high officials in the Nazi party. And that is a true statement. So the first group of Nazi scientists arrived in the fall of 45, and there's the happy group photo of them at Fort Bliss in 46. So we have paperclip running. We have JIOA running, and JIOA collecting all of this data about what's in the Nazi archives. Well, somewhere in there, Truman was briefed about the Nazi obsession with bloodlines and hybridization. They were really interested about this. So I had to speculate that the German scientists revealed the existence of a human hybrid breakaway civilization. That they revealed that they researched, trying to research reproducing advanced technology, hybrid advanced technology, and did they reveal their research into a superior civilization of ancient origin that's still on Earth. And off to the right side, you see the two vehicles there well, the only industrial country with an industrial base that's viable after World War II is the United States. And supposing that there were some plans or blueprints or whatever you want to call them of these two top vehicles, that's up to speculation. I don't know. But the bottom one definitely was a vehicle. It was taken to RIPAT T2 intelligence. And so the Horton 229 is an actual craft. And doesn't it look like some of our stealth craft today? So what was that organization running around the world
In
trying to
Arnold
find
saw them as well,
evidence
I
of the hybrid civilizations? It was the Deutsches Anenergie. They investigate the supposed hidden occult origins of the German race. Occult does not mean demonic; it just means hidden. So they wanted to link the German ancestry of the Aryan race to the inhabitants of Atlantis, and they believe that when Atlantis was destroyed, that the survivors of Atlantis spread across the earth to the New World, for example. They went everywhere looking for the survivors of Atlantis. They went, strangely enough, to the Antarctica, looking for evidence, artifacts that they existed. Did they find them? I don't know. But they supported these expeditions. They were into these occult practices, psychic phenomenon, and unfortunately tragically conducted these human genetic experiments in the concentration camps of trying to experiment with DNA. And here's a picture of them with Tibetan dignitaries in Lhasa in 38. So how are you going to hide all of this from becoming public? Well, one way is to create an intelligence agency. And at that time, in January of 46, now mind you, May of 45, we have Nazi SS officers assisting the US government with finding information that's in the Nazi archives. Some of that information was regard to their research into Atlantean civilizations and to breakaway civilizations, advanced human hybrids. And how do you hide that? Well, you need an intelligence organization called the Central Intelligence Group, which was founded in January of 46, beginning of the year in 46. And its purpose was to hide the association of the US government and these former Nazi officers. They classified the exploitation of advanced technology gleaned from the Nazi archives. And this creation of this National Intelligence Authority and this Central Intelligence Group was the birth of the modern national security state. Whereas Paperclip brought over 1,600 Nazis, 1,000 of those Nazis actually worked for CIG and later CIA. They were spies for the CIA.
Of course, there's that story of Von Braun and the slaves, that he knew there were slaves and he denied it and stuff, wasn't it? He went to court and they go to court over it. What was it on that we... Von Braun, they went to court, didn't they? to get him taken off the space program. Where did I see that? I think it was a true story. Didn't he go to court and they're saying that
Why
he's...
on earth would they want to take him off the space program? He was your best rocket engineer.
because he was part of SS. That's
Yeah,
why.
well, they knew that beforehand.
Yeah, but he denied that he didn't know that the people working on his program were Jewish slaves and all that sort of stuff. I think it was on one of these space documentaries that I saw from what is it, History Channel or something. But again, I suppose, and we don't know if it's true or not. Actually, it might have been part of a sub-story. Let's see. I don't know if it was true or not. It kind of makes sense that it was true, though. I think it was to do with that Rocket Man series, which is meant to be based bio on what actually took place. What was it called now? You know, the guy that set up JPL. I think it might have been on there where Von Braun was altered. But don't take my word for it. Things do get mixed up because I watch so much stuff. Didn't Von Braun go to court over it though? Let's just maybe I should just search it and
They never
fact check
revealed
it.
his identity. Paperclip and all those. They were given different IDs.
SS court. I'm not sure. It's not the sort of thing I was looking much into. Maybe it was like a Times article actually. Von Braun and the Nazis. Maybe it's in this. Maybe one of these documentaries. Was Von Braun a member of SS? Yes, I think, wasn't it? Was a member of Nazi Party and SS officer. Was also arrested by the Gestapo in 1944 for the careless remarks he made about the war and the rocket. His responsibility for the crimes connected to rocket production. That's the slaves, isn't it? Didn't know none about. Yeah, it was about the camps. Did he know about the camps? He denied he didn't know, didn't he? After the war, like so many others, he said, "I didn't know about the Holocaust." He also came to the realization that Hitler was an evil person, so he certainly distanced himself from that. Mind you, though, if you put in the same situation, if you didn't go along with it, you know your life would be in danger, right? Or your family would be executed in front of you, and all that sort of stuff. So you can see how they do these experiments with blue team and red team, and how they can single out one person from one team, and they all start attacking them. It's a bit like that, where they're doing psychological tests and how they can get people to turn on each other, which is a bit like UFO field. Everybody turns on each other at some stage.
Oh, what? I know.
We're like the SS on the web. Why did Von Braun surrender to the US? Well, it's best option at the time.
Well, it was a lot better than the Britons, wasn't it? You wouldn't have had the same treatment there.
Yeah. So yeah, you could go through all these little head-ons. How many V1 and V2 rockets hit England? The first were dropped at Swanscombe in Kent, and the last one at What's to do with Kent though? Openton and Kent. During that time, 6,725 were launched at Britain, and these 2,340 hit London, where my dad was, and he used to see the buzz bombs flying over the city. He said, and everybody would dive into the bunkers. My dad was in a bunker when one of these, I'm not sure if it was a V2, but I think it was one of the bombs were dropped from the plane, bounced down the stairwell off the bunker and lodged against the door. Yeah, so if that detonated, he would have been all dead, and I wouldn't be around today. But apparently they were locked in there for 5 hours, and now he's a wee bit claustrophobic now. Like he can't sleep in the bedroom without having to have a window open because he feels like he's suffocating. So yeah, he's got some injuries from the past, mental injuries from the wartime as kids. His sister said, well, damn it, if I'm going to die from a Nazi bomb, then let it be. And she would simply just stay up on the second floor in their house during all the raids. And the bombs were exploding all around. And it always missed their house, lucky enough, but she never got killed. So she's still alive and living in Australia at the moment. But yeah, they said their food was very scarce, and they didn't even have butter or anything like that, so they had to scavenge what they could, and they used the fat of boiled up meat as butter for bread. And they didn't have enough eggs to feed the family, so they would have to go out in the fields and hunt sparrow eggs and all that and just mix it all up. So I get all these wartime stories from Dad and his sister and whatnot, but yeah, we don't want that again. At the moment we've got the C-19, and that's also causing some supply demands problems, isn't it? It's a matter of stuff that we can't get, that we used to get before the virus, because they're not shipping it to New Zealand anymore. So I don't know if you're having the same problem in UK, where you can't get...
there was a time I couldn't get any sugar for a couple of weeks.
For 2 weeks?
For a couple of weeks, yeah. I'm sure
you
I
can't
could
brew
have
beer.
Now that was a big problem.
It would have been.
I was starting to panic. It was lucky that I had a 25 kilo sack. Yeah. So
yeah,
I was getting concerned, but yeah, after 2 weeks,
we've got bags.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got big. Dad's got at least 5 sacks of sugar, because he feeds it to the bees when he takes away the honey.
Yeah,
he has to give them alternative. So yeah, he just buys these big sacks of sugar, and they just pour some of that out to use in the kitchen. But yeah, sugar wasn't a problem. We're finding certain things that we can't get. Well, there's limited stuff on the shelf, like HP sauce and Bovril and all sorts of brands that you used to get. Bacon.
Yeah,
even.
We're having the same problems here, but it's got nothing to do with C-19.
That's people not working anymore, isn't it? Though.
Nah, that's because we left Europe, didn't we? We opted out.
I think it's got something to do with it. If you ain't got truck drivers delivering as well.
It could be a contributing factor, yeah.
Maybe your prices would have went up once you left the union, though, right?
It's very noticeable on fuel.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not too sure how all that's going to go, and cutting back on coal. I think it's not going to work too well, but because we haven't got enough in place already. I think they're trying to rush it too fast now, and it's not going to be successful. But anyway, we're not allowed to talk about that sort of stuff. So let's just carry on here.
Yeah.
Do we want to listen more about the paperclip part of it?
Nah, let's get to the bit where he starts talking about Roswell, if you can find it.
I thought we just missed that one. It was 38.
No. There's a bit more to come.
Was there any pictures?
Yeah, I'm sure there was. Don't go too far ahead. No,
1950.
Yeah.
That's yeah. The truck mirror. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep on going. Payload Farron.
What more?
Space. SpaceX.
Oh, satellite.
Yeah. What else we got? The devil. Get your kicks on 66. The devil, gets your kicks on. What's he talking about there? Let's carry on from there.
Psalm 66.
Let's maybe roll back a
And
little bit.
Green Door. Spacecraft itself, now I should say the previous one was a mission patch, as you can tell. Something you would sew on a jacket. On the spacecraft itself, we have three-headed dragon. And if you notice that around this official little poster the NRO put out, you have reptilian skin surrounding all of this. Reptilian skin in a circle for the O. And there's our three dragons on the Atlas V, which, by the way, the RD-180 rocket engines is thanks to the Russians. We launch spy satellites against Russia using rocket engines supplied by the Russians. And there's a constellation. I don't know if this is Draco, but if there's any amateur astronomers out there, that might be a clue hidden in plain sight. I don't know what constellation that is.
Okay, let's just have a quick look. I'm going to have to zoom out and then zoom in. So what do you reckon? Looks like a sine wave there, almost. Constellation? It's not Betty and Barney Hill's one, is it? Theirs was more...
No.
More like a cross, wasn't it? And two lines going off it. Doesn't look like anything to me. Isn't that a Leo there, though? Isn't that the lion? At the top right there. Star signs. So let's have a look. Well, that's quite interesting. The patches and what the hidden meaning, right? So I did one on that a while ago, talking about strange badges. If you ain't seen that episode, go and have a look at it. It's actually quite interesting. Star signs. Let's see. We want graphic. Stars. Here we go. Okay, there's Leo there. Looks like Leo there with the head, right? Let's go back to that one. I have to zoom in. That kind of looks like a Leo, doesn't it? There, that part there. Kind of looks like a Leo. And above it looks like Aries, going that way. So is that a Leo next to an Aries? Does kind of look like it, doesn't it? So we've got a Leo, Aries, Leo. So
I'm looking at
could
it
maybe
again.
it could be spelling out something with the letters A-L, and then we've got sort of like a J underneath. Let's see, J. Have we got any ones that look like a J? That one's Scorpio, maybe?
So another look.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to tell.
It's not Capricorn, is it?
No, that's a box. I think one's a Leo, one's the Aries next to it, and possibly Scorpio. Let's just go back and have a look again. Although it seems to have too few stars. Let's see, does it look like a Scorpio down there? Going up there around. So ALS. ALS. Well, the Atlas 5. So maybe using star signs to spell Atlas, maybe?
I don't know. I'm looking at constellations here and I can't find an exact match.
It's 3 joined together there. That's what I'm saying. Aries, Leo, and Scorpio. And A for Atlas, L for L38 maybe, and S for Snake, maybe, because snakeskin's there. I don't know, it's got some coded meaning. A lot of their badges have. So what would be 3-headed dragons mean? Well, you got to remember, even SpaceX called one of their spaceships Dragon, right?
Yeah.
But it's got the word Drake above here. What's Drake? Like the Drake equation for life? So what's the double mean in there, or triple mean in there? Three civilizations in the universe that they know about, maybe. The 3 dragons, or 3 other alien civilizations they know about. Greys, reptilians, and who would be the other ones? Atlanteans, maybe, or something like that. Who we got on the side? Oh, we got John joining us.
Oh, hi John. How you doing, man?
Yeah, we're just trying to work out these secret badges because he's pointing it out. Arizona. I'm sitting here sipping on my hot chocolate, being a lazy sod. Hot chocolate. Yeah, you're certainly getting old now. Has it got some spirits in it? Go get some pull. I did yesterday and I got slaughtered by unsubs and some nasty comments. But that's alright. We'll just carry on with this.
That's 38. 39 is the octopus.
Now, they said the octopus recently wasn't DNA of Earth, didn't they?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, highly unusual, shall we say.
Yeah, so that might be having some meaning there.
I think you may well be correct on that one. Yeah.
So, could the octopus be an intelligent life form? Or is it like a spider that sort of come off a UFO and sort of
Have you ever
multiplied.
caught one while you're fishing? You ever caught one while you're fishing? I have.
Oh,
God,
the
they
butt
are nasty, nasty
nasty.
pieces of work.
Yeah. So let's just look that up. Octopus. Octopus.
You need to see there, Paul.
Yeah, I gotta get my fingers in the right place on this keyboard. Is it Octopus?
Yeah,
Let's see
that's...
it. Okay, well, looks like we got the right picture. Alien DNA or something. Let's see.
Yeah.
Well, something come up.
You've got
An
images
alien.
there, Paul.
Here we go. An alien amongst us.
Mm-hmm.
Evolution. So what was this unique thing they found about this? Self-replicating bacterial life first appeared on Earth about 4 billion years ago. And look who we got now. We got John from Arizona. For most of the Earth's history, life remained at single-celled level. Okay, so where does it get to the octopi? In contrast, another ancient type of animal, the sea jelly, have a nervous system. Sea jellies don't fossilize very well, not surprised. Analyzing their genetic relationship to other animals. Okay, let's keep on going. A neuron is in essence a cell that transmits a signal. A wave of electrochemical energy sweeps across the membrane of the cell, one end to the other. So they're talking about brain here. At about 200 feet per second, influences other neuron, a muscle or gland. The earliest nervous systems may have been simple nets of neurons laced throughout the body, interacting with the muscles. Hydras work on this nerve principle. They are tiny water creatures, transparent flower-like animals. So yeah, neuron there to me doesn't sound like it's going to store massive information like our brain has. So there's got to be something more to the DNA and the atom level of energy where information is stored in my book, which this guy in this interview actually has hinted at, that DNA stores more information than us. What is it? GACT. But yeah, where's the thing about
I
the
don't know. We're
octopi?
living in strange days. I'm telling you, you got Louise Elizondo, Chris Mellon, that Nelson guy from NASA, all kind of talking like we're alien hybrids.
There we
You
go.
don't have people, talking like that in the past. I don't know what it's all about. It's all just maybe some part of some big revelation. I don't know.
Yeah. So now we got this one here. Octopuses, squid, and cuttlefish are true aliens with respect to us. No other intelligent animal is as far from us as the tree of life.
Oh dear.
Okay, I need to
I've been using
zoom in.
debate.
Octopuses are superstars of the invertebrates because of their astonishing intelligence. They consider mollusks like clams or snails. What did I miss here? Mollusks probably first appeared around 550 million years ago They were made relatively simple, at least in organization of their nervous systems. For hundreds of millions of years, one bunch of cellular pods eventually evolved a complex brain, investigated behavior, and may have reached something close to the modern form of an octopus around 300 million years ago. Octopuses, squid, and scuttlefish. But I thought whales are meant to be like the super intelligent, and dolphins.
And dolphins, yeah. Don't forget the dolphins.
Yeah. True aliens with respect to us. No other intelligent animal is as far from us on the tree of life. They show us that the big-brained smartness is not one-off event, because it evolved independently at least twice. First among the vertebrates and then again amongst the invertebrates. Octopuses are excellent visual predators. A good predator must be smarter and better. Or why does it end up on your fishing line? Better coordinate than a prey, and using vision to locate and recognize prey, especially computational intensive. No other sensory system, such as fire hose or varied information. So I thought it was a wee bit more different in the DNA than just on the far side of it, but they're still intelligent. They can change the colour of the skin too, can't they? Is it
Yeah. And spit ink in your face, don't forget that.
Which sounds very alien, doesn't it? When you put it all together. You got cloaking.
Panspermia, maybe.
Yes, some have suggested that. The way octopuses escape any way they can, out of fish tanks and down storm drains, tells me they are desperate to be free, and in all likely needs motivation, consciousness. Well, I kind of like them deep fried myself. But they can be a bit chewy.
Tell me about it. I've never considered eating one like that.
Yeah, we've had them.
Squid just was bad. I tried eating squid. It was just awful. I used to buy them from the supermarket if the bait shops ran out,
All right. What do you used to catch with it, snapper?
Squid? Oh no, you catch all manner of things with squid.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I thought we were going to find some more interesting snippets of information about DNA. But anyway, we'll just carry on with his...
Yeah.
And there's our octopus on a payload fairing.
I'll just have to get up.
49. Latin translates to the most important fall. You heard of fallen angels, and that fallen angels might have been the Atlanteans that were separated from the other humans because they were too far advanced and their civilization was destroyed, therefore fallen. I found that to be very intriguing. And Betty here is probably Betty Sapp. When this mission went up, Betty Sapp was slated, S-A-P-P, Betty Sapp, was slated to be the first woman director of the NRO. Most important fall. And here's another patch for this, or another logo. The devil you know. Vandenberg Air Force Base, the first Delta IV heavy launch, the rocket that actually launched it, from Space Launch Center number 6 at Vandenberg. Space Launch Control, maybe. Number 6. The Devil You Know. Get your kicks on 66. And Green Door. Green Door assignments in the Air Force are black program assignments. And if you look at this patch, I don't know if it's a magician or an insect, but this patch is so intriguing because the more you look at it, you see more things into it. But I see 2 red eyes here, and I don't know. This looks like a Merlin, the magician hat. I don't know, but keep looking at it, and some people see insects. Some people see a magician with a Merlin the magician hat. This red spot here over the United States is the southwest of the United States. Okay, southwest United States. What black program would exist in a southwestern state, like in a desert? Leave it at that. But these black programs are called...
it also, just real quick, it also looks like it's holding a dagger, the golden overlay with the...
yes. Good, Jay. Dagger. I see that now. Thank you for that.
No problem.
And the U2 Dragon Lady. That's the nickname for the U2 that CIA gave her, the Dragon Lady. And that's it.
Okay, so I'm back. Looks like I missed it all. I had to go to toilet. What have we got down here? Right, Dad's come back too. I'm not sure if John's still here. I think he's left. He doesn't stay very long. Says hi. Yeah. He's a pop goes the weasel. So he was looking at all those badges with dragons and strange aliens on them and stuff. But again, they're in space, and it may have no secret meaning at all, because space is about finding life. Octopus. Why would you have an octopus though? On a spaceship though, it's kind of a strange one.
Could it be 8 tentacles? Maybe they were talking about intelligence agencies, 8 of them. I don't know. Or 8 crew. I don't know. I'm just surmising. I mean, we're just guessing, really, aren't we? Without we'll ever unlock these hidden meanings, symbolic.
So did you have more after this CIA one, or we just wrap up on this one?
Yeah, we can wrap up on that now, Paul.
We got 2.5 hours so far, so...
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Unless anyone wants to come on side chat, we can switch to our public room and let people hop on and talk about UFOs if you want to do that. I'm quite okay to do that. For how long you want to do it.
Yeah, just a little update on Michael. He had it mild at first, but it's got worse, mate.
He got the Delta, did he?
I don't know, but I haven't been in contact with him for a couple of days now. But the last time I did get in contact with him was around about Wednesday, and he said I'm in a pretty bad place at the moment.
Well, we know it does sort of sap you, flus and even getting the jab. So yeah, whether he's got Delta, it's pretty vicious. Mum's friend got it, who didn't want to get the vax, so she's not going to get the vax. But she was taken to hospital and had to be put on a machine to breathe. She said it was wicked and so exhausting and tired. So she's been 3 weeks after she's recovered now, and she's still not fully up to speed. So it does take you back a fair bit, energy wise. And of course, breathing. If you're not breathing properly, that is a bit of a scare, isn't it? 'Cause if you ain't got enough oxygen going to your brain, it's going to shut down or cause brain cell damage. So, and also muscle deterioration. And what are they saying down the side? Dan. What's that? I want to know what Rob knows. Yeah, he's got some secrets, Rob. He's been told some stuff.
Yeah, the CIA. Well, it was funny thing is that a lot of people make a correlation here, but I think it may be coincidence. It was formed in 1947, about a month after the Roswell crash, whatever did, crash at Roswell, and it's long been associated with harbouring UFO information, but who knows what they've got. But at least you can they're foyerable, unlike some agencies like the DOE, which I mentioned earlier. But I don't think we'll ever know. I don't think we'll ever see all the information that they've been gathering down the decades. Yeah, to go out spill the beans, flipping hell. I was in touch with somebody recently, and to be honest, I'd have called complete nonsense on it if it didn't come from such a credible source. Obviously, I won't mention names, but he was actually really confident that there's aliens walking among us, So I asked him for any further information, and he said they can only tell you so much at this stage, but I'll keep you in the loop. I said to him, Jesus Christ, man, I've got to sleep tonight, you know what I mean? And you're telling me stuff like this at 4 a.m. But yeah. I mean, I don't know. Let's see what comes with it. But this guy is actually in touch with somebody that he thinks may not have originated on this planet. Oh, it's many days, strange days. But
How
I
can
don't
you
know.
tell? Is there any telltales? Is what we want to know.
This is it. I don't know. But as I said, I'd have just shrugged it off if it wasn't such a credible person,
Do they have sunglasses on all the time?
No, but yeah, I'm not going to say any more now. In case I'm speaking out of school.
Well, if it's anything like what we're listening to here from the Nazi Party and aliens and all that, CIA, most likely they're going to be blondes and blue eyes, right? So, but there was a story about someone said he would do an experiment to see whether he could get any alien attention, and he went into a subway, I think it was, and he was calling out mentally, is there any aliens out there? If so, can you come and sit next to me and give me a sign that you're alien? You don't have to speak, but maybe you can. And sure enough, 10 minutes later, someone did show up and sat next to him, gave him a funny look.
You were talking about Timothy Good, yes.
Is it Timothy Good? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, yes. I've heard him tell that story many times.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Timothy Good is exactly. Who is he exactly? Timothy Good. For those that don't know out there.
He's a UK researcher. He wrote the book Above Top Secret, which is by far his best book. He speculates. Oh, excuse me. He speculates quite wildly on some things. So you've got to take some of what he says with a pinch of salt. Unfortunately, but he was very close friends with Norton Hill, and Norton Hill was Secretary of Defence in the UK just after the Second World War, so he had really, really good contacts. And Norton Hill, as we know, is absolutely convinced the UFOs are real. I think he's passed away now. He must have been well into his 80s, but he's quite famous for some of the quotes.
Yep.
I'm talking now in days where people weren't really talking about UFOs. At least people of his rank certainly weren't doing that, but he was quite a pioneer like that. He stuck his neck out. I think he also had ties to the royal family. There's a new book come out now about Prince Philip, who passed away last year, wasn't it? I think it was last year. He passed away. And
not recently. Yeah.
Just how seriously he took the UFO subject, and how much he had an enormous library of UFO literature.
Did he?
Yeah, so we might learn more in this book now, but it's not the book's not. It's just not about UFOs. It's about other things as well. So I don't know if I'll be buying that. What's it called? What's it called? Secrets of the Royals, I think it's called.
Yeah, did some say he was an alien himself? But he's got German blood, hasn't he? He's got German blood, right? A bloodline.
Oh, German, Greek, Italian. The whole family are right concoction, you know.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that story, and there are some people that used to go to the dog park, because I thought, would aliens be going to a dog park? Because they were like really tall, skinny people, which was like some of the descriptions you hear about tall greys, right? And I thought, well, I'd see if I can do his trick and say, "Are you alien? Can you look at me?" And sure enough, this person looked at me. He was on the other side of the field and walking along looking at his feet. And I was saying, "Are you alien? Are you alien? Give me a sign. Can you look at me?" And sure enough, he looked at me, and I thought, wow. So is it alien or not? I don't know. But he was kind of freaky looking. He didn't, he looked like a normal human, but way skinny. And super tall. Must have been like over 6'5" even. It's really tall.
Well, we've all heard the stories of the Men in Black. Some of the more outlandish stories. I mean, now, when they've come onto someone's property, questioned them, and a lot of people have said they don't blink. They don't blink. They just constantly stare, which might be quite unnerving. And there's something about them, like the face is kind of molded. That doesn't quite look, and they look pale, gaunt, almost like a deathly look. I mean, if only one or two people had said this, then you could just dismiss it, couldn't you? But when it's come from so many people over such a long period of time, it really does make you wonder.
Yeah. So I'd like to know what the aliens look like, even just a general description. Then I'd probably be looking more carefully at people around the neighbourhood. Would they be one of this?
Are they capable of producing an artificial intelligence that could resemble us? It's possible. If they're that advanced, I don't really see why they couldn't put someone in our society.
I think they could replace us. I think they could take our DNA and clone us, but and then sort of train that person up to be you, and then get rid of you and put the other person in place of you. So I think it's really possible. I think it's possible for humans to even do that, especially the Chinese.
Within their abilities.
Chinese are doing lots of crossbreeding and crazy stuff like that at the moment too. It's good to see you got my out there Twitty on there advertising.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that's the one with the Men in Black on the back,
Yeah,
or
it
logo on
comes
the
out
back,
every
wasn't
Sunday.
it?
I've got another
So,
one, but I
have
got a
you?
bit of paint on that. So
Uh,
yeah, but it's only emulsion, so it should come off.
yeah, if you want to keep your transfers looking good, always hand wash stuff. They put it, or turn it inside out. It gets beaten
Yeah,
up
yeah, yeah,
otherwise by
yeah.
the spindle and stuff.
Yeah, I
Or
don't
the
like
outside
putting
of the
these on
drum.
too high heat because you'll lose the badge.
Yeah. Mine are still good after 5 years in the cupboard, so depends how well you hang them up and stuff, how long you want to keep it. Well, some of mine now got holes in them, and they end up being like pajamas, that sort of thing. But yeah. So yeah, do we need to do any more? It's gone to part 5 here. Personal favourite sources. You said there was something else about Roswell on this, which we must have missed.
Yeah, I can't damn well remember where it was now. I thought it was at about 1 hour 50, but I'm not sure now.
I got a feeling it
I
was
should have built the
130.
times down.
Yeah, do you know what was on the page? NK Ultra. What is it? Agent? There are no agents employed.
Newspaper article from 1947. The Roswell Daily Record. You know that one, my famous one. I've got one behind me here. So, yeah. I'll
The
have the
Space
Force captured
Force.
on this.
Yep. A newspaper clipping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just can't see. Alright, he's got chapters here. Let's open them up and see what it says. Notes, interest in relationships, SS20. WSS20. Let's have a look. Studies by Soviet scientists. What was it saying there?
By both Soviet scientists and the U.S. intelligence community. Both on the Soviet side and the U.S. side, we observed that there was an association with a certain missile, the SS-20 Sabre, which was an intermediate range ballistic missile. This missile was designed for NATO countries. It was designed to be deployed from the U.S. to strike targets in NATO as part of a European war, a nuclear war in NATO. It was not designed to reach across the ocean. It was not an ICBM. It could not have touched the U.S., but our allies would have been at risk. So every time the Russians, well, not every time, but many times when the Russians would test the SS-20 Sabre, here comes these domes of light also appearing. Now, NASIC's predecessor, FTD, they still stuck with the fact that, according to them, they thought the dome of light could be a missile countermeasure to obscure the numbers and trajectories of a Soviet nuclear missile attack. And the dome of light was used by Senator Jesse Helms of North Carolina. He actually used the phrase dome of light in a comment he made. That's how we got to know it as the dome of light.
Is it a dome of light
there
or
are
a sphere
domes
of
of
light?
light associated with more recent Russian missiles, the SS-25 and 27 Topol M. They did use similar technology to evaluate missile countermeasures. But the phenomenon we know as Petrozavodsk was 8 years earlier than this first test launch of these missiles, and the SS-20 tests that occurred much earlier than these missiles. The Avangard, which is the Russian hypersonic glide vehicle, can fly at Mach 27, and it creates a kind of a plasma field around it as it skirts.
Yeah, so domes of light, that's interesting. Don't think I've heard that term before. Are you still there, Robert?
Yeah, I was just reading Dan's statement there about.
Right.
So it was one of the first books that Tom DeLonge read. Then, yeah. It was an excellent book. It really was. It was, and it's got lots of documentation in it as well, so it backs up what he's saying. Unfortunately, some of his other books just aren't up to it.
Well, it's a song. New insights into mysterious Soviet Dome of Light. I got to the drive. Let's have a look at that website. And declassified documents. So he didn't talk about that. Air Force analysis were baffled by the massive light shows, which may have been a countermeasure against America early warning satellites. Right. Well, that would make sense. You know how they use lasers to blind Russian spy satellites from the ground. Makes sense that they have some sort of drone technology that was shooting beams of light, creating domes above rocket test sites, so they can't photograph either. That kind of makes sense. So maybe they're not UAPs. But again, secret technology by the governments and military, I should say. That makes more sense. Is there any pictures of these domes? That's what I was hoping for. So these are the declassified documents. And a lot of reading. And there's no pictures of the domes. That's a bit stupid.
Yeah, if this is the drive, by the way, that's a really good source of information.
So that to me sounds like domes of light has nothing to do with aliens in that case.
I don't know if I'm not sure how you're joining the dots here, but
well, just reading what they said there. Countermeasure to hide what was going on by making the atmosphere with a big dome over top. The Dome of Silence, like Agent, what's his name, Maxwell, 1999. The Shield of Silence. So yeah, let's just come on. It looks like he's got some pictures here, but they didn't have on the drive, did they? Living Heart, light phenomenon collected by USA satellites. So let's see what that says.
Jumvalo Melchizedek, a spiritual visionary, esoteric researcher, wrote a book in 2003 called Living in the Heart. And in it, he, page 50, he described an interesting conversation he had with a major in the Air Force. And the major in the Air Force, she said, the satellites could see a person's light body, that is the Merkaba field, as a person creates one through a meditative practice that Melchizedek teaches, in fact, that it creates so much energy in the person's light body that it can be seen in space. And she relates that the military was concerned about the creation of these light bodies. They didn't know what it was, but they now know it's part of a new consciousness that is unfolding on Earth at this time. I take Melchizedek's word at his word. I mean, I can't dispute something that I wasn't there to either say or not say that was true, but I take him at his word that this happened. So I think it's interesting that.
So what's he saying? They got cameras in space that can see your light body, which means like a big bright thing on the ground. Kind of weird, huh? Light body.
Light body.
Yeah, light body.
Oh, I don't think you're going to get any results like that.
Let's see.
Talking about an order, surely not.
Yeah, yeah. What is your light body? There you go. How can you activate it?
No, it's
Gaia.
Gaia. Oh,
No, it's Gaia. Yeah, you can call it whatever you like, but yeah, I find the site a bit gay. A light body from space. So that's what he's blaming on about. You can see why people like Mick West won't cotton very well to him. Because he reckons his mind's been gotten at. He's gone down the rabbit hole, so to speak. What is the light body? Put simply, light body is our vehicle to graduate from the human condition to return to source. Return to sender. If the goal of each soul is to merge with God, then the activation of our light body is what gets us there. So that's talking about soul then, in that case.
sure.
So now they've got cameras in space that can see your soul. That's so radical, isn't it? Elements of a light body. Human energy field is made up of several layers. The terms etheric body. Oh no, not the ether. That's a Tesla thing. Body, a mental body, astral body, and emotional body. Beyond those classifications, electrical impulses, energetic bodies are beyond the physical. So, yeah. Sounds a bit strange to me. Ascension and the light body. So, if it's a soul, then it's got to be consciousness as well, isn't it? Which can move from body to a new body, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Technically, you could live forever in that case by getting a new body.
That the Air Force major said this to Melchizedek, and that's a person that I think people should interview and say exactly, what else did the major tell you? There are two satellites that could do this, are the Defense Support Program satellites, or DSP, and the newer SEBRS, or Space-Based Infrared System. The DSP program is fading away. They're very old satellites, and they'll eventually be replaced by SEBRS as the constellation for launch detection. And the Russian also collected against the dome of lights using radars, or collected against UAPs, in fact, against radars. There was an interview with a Major General Alexeyev, and he said that the Soviet leadership actually ordered that certain devices, such as field lights, which is basically just an instrumented telescope, a range instrumentation telescope, radar stations, be used to make contact. And the special military loads, these are the missile launches that carry not real warheads, but for lack of a better term, dummy warheads. And when the Russians would launch one of these missiles with a dummy warhead, UAPs would show up. And these objects were recorded in instrumented data, because these radars are very good at detecting reentry vehicles from Russian missiles. So they're very good at looking at very fast, very small objects traveling at great speeds. And it's not classified to say that, for example, within the Russian capabilities also, there was a Mark 21 warhead that was associated with the Peacekeeper ICBM, which is no longer in service, and the Air Force released some information about it. That warhead, the reentry vehicle, actually enters the atmosphere at 7.9 kilometers per second, and these radars have no trouble whatsoever tracking that.
Hypersonics.
Wow.
This is called the Neiman P.
Yeah.
The left side is a transmitter, the right side is a receiver, and it was seen tracking anomalous phenomenon. In fact, the Russians say we use this radar to track anomalous phenomenon, and they gave a lot of information about this. So I can say in general terms that this is an S-band radar. And S-band means 2 gigahertz to 4 gigahertz as radar frequencies. It works somewhere in that range of frequencies. There's another interesting radar, I believe, that is the AN Spy 1 radar, the Aegis fire control radar, that also is an S-band radar. And so the Navy guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I'm accurate in saying that the Spy 1 radar on the USS Princeton operated in that frequency range that this Neiman P radar operated in. Now, the Pechora ballistic missile early warning radar, these radars, it's a system of radars in the periphery of the Soviet Union, and they're there to look for ballistic missile launches from the U.S. A ballistic missile early warning, that's what it is. They also can detect satellites and compare the satellites to known ephemeris or known orbital paths of those satellites and identify them. Well, sometimes they collected things that they could not identify, and they weren't missiles. They thought they were missiles, and they went to a high state of readiness, but they were not missiles, and they realized they were not missiles, and they continued to collect or detect certain types of objects like that, which were of interest to the Soviet leadership and the Russian leadership. And these radars operated in VHF. Let's say between 100 and 200 megahertz. That's what.
So the S-band is
Microwave.
2 to 4 gigahertz.
Gigahertz, yeah.
Which is the same as our routers, isn't it? Let's have a look. Router 2.4, isn't it? Is it gigahertz or megahertz? I'm not sure now. Router. Looks like someone outside mowing. Router bands. 2.4 gigahertz, see? And of course then you got 5 gigahertz, so really it's kind of strange if they're picking up objects or missiles on the S-band. So that's got to bounce back. That's going to be a really high density frequency, isn't it? Which wouldn't water molecules in the air affect the router? I think it does, doesn't it? If you look at 5G, I'm pretty sure when it rains, you get bad reception in Texas, because Susan was talking about it. She was on 4LT, I think, LTE or something, which is in that band region. So, yeah, stop Googling. Which one is... And the problem is, I forgot what I was going to say now. I must be getting tired. But anyway, it just went out of my head. It's like I got sapped in my head.
Oh God, I
totally
know
lost.
that feeling always happens on a live stream, doesn't it?
Yes, it was almost like I was in a dream state, relaying what I was trying to say to you, and then suddenly just something entered my head, and it totally was set. It was like I was in a Aboriginal dream state when I was talking about all that sort of stuff. It's like it was like I wasn't actually in my body doing it. I don't know. It's kind of weird, crazy. I must be getting too tired. Anyway, so talking about the S-band here. There's too much in this interview to really break down, I think, really.
Yeah, there is definitely.
There's too many topics in one go, you see. But we were actually trying to find the stuff in Roswell. What was the part that he was talking about in Roswell? Do you remember?
Oh, jeez, I don't know where it is now.
Yeah,
I really thought it was about 150 minutes, but I think we've obviously covered that.
Yeah, maybe. We got up to there. Paperclip, and then we sort of stopped it, I think. Paperclip, yeah. Oh, here we go. 147. Let's start it from there.
Roswell. Now, with all that history behind, now you know that, okay, the CIA, the CIG, was working with Nazis, and that the part of that work was recovering artifacts, recovering technology that the Nazis were working on, and now we have Roswell. Not to say that Roswell was German technology, not to say that, but let's look at it. So there was an eyewitness account, Mr. and Mrs. Wilmot. What they described on July the 2nd looked very much like what we would call UAP. It's an object that glowed from the inside, not as if it was lit from the outside, traveling very fast and very high with no sound. Now that happened on July the 2nd. On July the 8th, comes a newspaper article. The 2nd and 8th, it was a long period of time. Now, I don't believe that the recovery of these objects occurred after July the 8th. I believe the recovery of the objects happened prior to July the 8th. And I cannot prove that because I have not gone into the CIG FOIA. I don't know if there is a CIG FOIA. Maybe it's held by the CIA. Maybe that was the information that Chase Brandon found in the historical intelligence collection. But going from there, there was some foreknowledge, I believe, that there was such craft that the Nazis were interested in. And who flew the craft? I don't know. It weren't human, I don't believe. I have not seen the files that Chase Brandon saw. But could have been the Atlantean craft that was flown with hybrids on board. I don't know. That's just pure speculation on my part. I'm just trying to connect dots, and some dots sort of like are outliers and can't be connected. But this is the way I'm trying to sort it in my own mind. You absolutely do not have to believe anything I say. You can just toss it away. So finally we come to later on in July. A law created the CIA and what was called the National Military Establishment. The Department of Defense wasn't named until August the 10th, 49. Right after Roswell through August of 49, it was the National Military Establishment that was created. And what's of interest was the fiscal year in the modern Roswell era between July 1st, 47 and July 30, 48. Fiscal year is that year where the government gets funded. Right now it's October 1st to September 30th that the government is supposed to be funded if Congress is able to put a bill in time for the president's signature before October 1st. I don't know when was the last time that happened, but be that as it may, let's go back to May of 48 when they had the Armed Services Procurement Act. It provided defense agencies a means of non-competitive practices. sole source defense contracts where the Pentagon would go to one person or one contractor, one entity saying, you got the contract, we're not competing it. And it can hide the budget. This law allowed the government to hide the budget of these sole source contracts. And that greatly increased the power and influence of defense contractors. And that is the start, May of 48, that birthed the modern military-industrial complex. It did not start with Eisenhower giving that speech. He had to live with this as a reality, that these contractors had so much power in the Department of Defense. And you probably heard the existence of the rogue programs. My argument is the programs aren't necessarily rogue. I don't believe that there are rogue programs. I do believe there are unacknowledged programs. But there are laws on the books, like Title 10, Section 119, that allows these types of programs to exist. Out of sight, out of mind. And there's an executive order, 13526, recently, I think most recently updated by President Obama. I don't know if President Trump or President Biden had done anything with 13526, but this executive order, based on U.S. Code 10, Section 119, allows for carve-outs and unacknowledged SAPs that do not have to be reported. However, having said that, don't even think for a moment that no one knows what's in them, because in the House Appropriations Committee, there's a subcommittee that actually can look into these unacknowledged SAPs. And though they may be unacknowledged, they're going to be called something else as a cover name for something else. And that cover name is going to have a dollar figure behind it. So they're not truly unacknowledged in that sense. And believe it or not, the subcommittee members in the that particular appropriations committee are cleared at an extremely high level. They probably have more tickets or compartments than I had. I had 26 when I retired and signed off on all 26, read out. But they probably have as many as they need to do their job. And so, who knows? It might be in there. Okay, now we at McMinnville, Oregon case. Now, you're probably familiar with this particular craft with the conning tower on top. It appeared in Life magazine.
Yeah, nose is blocking up us all.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I'm still with you.
Yes.
We skipped past this before.
Yeah,
but yeah,
well,
it was a chapter. The 147 was a chapter, by the way, so if we looked there, we would have found it straight away. That's what's handy about chapters. It's good that some people start using them now. Yeah. Yeah, I probably need to get a drink and wrap up now, actually. And it's getting quite warm here. God, it's been a really warm day. I think it's ice block time.
Just want to show you one thing before we go.
Yeah, okay. I think it's ice block time.
Okay.
It's very hot in the room here. Drink what I've got here, and need to get some more. But we do that. Let's wrap up. Yeah, we're done 3 hours, so it's time to go, I suppose.
Over. Yeah, sure. I just want to show you this before we close down for the evening. Just put me on full screen if you can.
And also, next Monday, I got the second jab, so we might have to start 2 hours earlier if possible. The early morning one that goes on to 1:30. Which would be your midnight one. Oh, it wouldn't even be midnight, would it? Or you can wait till I get back, maybe. and start it at 2 o'clock or sometime like
Yeah,
that.
we'll see. We'll sort something out.
What's that? That's 2 o'clock. There'll be 1 a.m. in your morning, so you could probably start then if you wanted to.
Can be.
Yeah, you want to go full screen? Okay, here we go.
Yeah. So I made a little investment. See this?
Let's
How's
see.
it looking?
Can we zoom in?
Oh, right.
No, too low down.
Damn.
Try angling it downwards. There we go. And you hit it right then. Turn it to your right. Is it? No, it's going upwards. Yeah, it looks like an alien. Yeah, that's it.
There we go.
I'll see if I can hang it there. Just zoom in. So there's an alien with something in the background. Can't quite make it out. Is that a silver coin?
It's solid silver, yeah. Well, it's 0.999, which is about as pure as you can get. And on the reverse side, it's got Queen's Head. This is legal tender, by the way. And you can see there it's got crop circles.
All right.
Designs
I'll just zoom
on the outside.
Yeah. So what's that go for now? $100?
No. This one cost me. I think it was $30 around about that. Solid silver.
Oh yeah,
£30,
yeah,
not dollars, pounds.
Pounds. Yeah.
Also,
I'm just trying to think.
I've also splashed out on one that's rhodium plated, which is a form of platinum, and that one costs quite a lot more. And that one hasn't arrived yet. But the thing is, they reckon these are a good investment if there ever was disclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah, these could be worth big money because they're limited edition. You see, with this one, they made 2,500, but with the other one that I bought, the rhodium plated one, they only made 500 of them. So that's all you'll get. You won't get one at all now. They've closed shop.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually Ghana, which is part of the UK Crown.
Yeah.
Obviously, you wouldn't spend it because they're actually only worth I think it's $5
$30.
So of course you're not going to do that. It's a collector's item, but it'd be interesting to see. But it's strange days we live on when countries are actually print, and the reason they printed them is because they're confident there's going to be disclosure in the future. You can read that yourself. If you just type in Ghana alien coin, it's all over the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ghana are convinced. I don't know what they know more than us, but they're convinced there's going to be disclosure, and they put this coin out to celebrate in advance. You can buy the gold one. The gold one's got platinum in it as well, and it's like $2,500. I can't afford that. There you go. That's better than me holding a damn thing up, isn't it?
Was it the same one?
Stupid farmer. Yeah, same one, yeah.
Oh, they got the gold version.
Yeah, they've got a gold version.
Oh, that's the back of it.
Yeah.
$5, 1 ounce.
Yeah. You can get them in half ounce as well, but wow, what was that there? 2 ounce. Wow.
$2. Gold always looks better to me, though.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about gold over silver.
You can't afford £2.5, though.
Yeah, silver still tarnishes us. Silver 1 ounce 2021.
It'll be fine as long as I keep it in the case.
Onlinecoin.club. So what is it? Is it a rocket in the background? Let me just see if we can get a bigger picture still. Crop circles. Or they just various size planets. And that was
No,
made
apart
into
from
a
the crop circle design, yeah.
That looks like a needle. I don't know.
It's actually a rocket taking off.
I don't know, it kind of looks like a needle, and looks like he's holding a needle as well. Looks like what they're jabbing into the back of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, a rocket, you reckon?
Up and down, I know. Good God, man.
It doesn't look very friendly.
It doesn't. No. I don't go on a meeting.
Not as friendly as Mr. Grey. Yeah, okay. So you bought 2 for...
Yeah, that's the one there on the bottom right now. That's the other one I've bought.
This one here?
No, that's it. The one with the eyes.
The green eyes.
Shine up. Yeah.
Does it glow in the dark? Rhodium plated. I think it glows in the dark, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Green
I haven't got
eyes.
that yet.
That was the one that's more likely to be stolen in the post. Google.
Yeah, I know.
There's a chemical element with the symbol RH. Atomic number 45. It's very rare. Silvery white, hard, corrosion resistant, and chemically inert. It's notably metal and a member of the platinum group. Well, maybe it doesn't glow then. Is radium good for jewelry? Expensive than gold. Is expensive than gold. It's 7 times costlier than gold. Wow, 17 times more costly. So it must be rare then.
Hence, the one I've got is only plated.
Radonium compounds are encountered relatively rarely by most people. There are almost no reported cases of humans being affected. Well, you're pretty safe there then. I don't think it glows, does it? Maybe.
Sure, it said something about shining a UV light on it.
How can you tell if radium is real? Magnifying glass. No.
I can't remember the mint company I bought it from now. It's an American one based in Arizona. So I think you're quite safe.
Highly reflective, they said. Can turn green. Okay. Radium is nickel free and does not tarnish. No. Will corrode and leave behind dark green marks on your skin. Okay. It does not need to be alloyed with other metals like copper, nickel. Over time will corrode. Yeah. Well, we probably need to wrap up though. Yeah. Anyway, I suppose we better wrap up there, guys, and I think that's where Robert wanted to leave it. From Ghana, of all places, huh? That's like the scammer's capital, isn't it? You know, online fraud. So, is he going to get that one? He got one of them. Dodgy. Yeah. Are you sure you're going to get this one, Robert? Because it says it's from Ghana, which is known to be like the hoax scammers' capital of the world.
No, I didn't buy it from Ghana. I bought it from Mint, and it's official. It's it's you can't go wrong if you buy it from the Mint.
Yeah, I know Dad's bought silver coins, and it's actually it's transport. They don't transport it to your house. They said when he buys silver, they transport it to a place in the city, and then you have to go and pick it up and prove your identity, and then take it for security reasons. It depends how much you buy, though, I suppose.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Dad was buying thousands of dollars worth for investment because he doesn't trust the dollar at the moment, and with the virus.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's good, and we better wrap it up there, I guess. I think Dan said good night already.
Yeah.
Great show. You say that every time, Dan. See you next time.
Hopefully see you all next week.
Next week, I suppose watch out for Twitter and Discord to see what time that we might be starting. We'll see what Rob feels like, whether he wants to do it later or earlier.
Yeah.
Or we could do the show and I could leave for 10 minutes and then pop back and have you talking for 10 minutes and hope there's no internet crash. So we could do that. We could do that too if you wanted to. But I would have to slip off. I would have to make sure I have a shower before we do the show anyway, and slip off and leave you in charge. But you could, we could practice you doing a screen share if you want to share your documents, right? On Jitsi, because you should be able to share your screen, and that way you can sort of be like the hoster instead of me doing everything. Okay, we better wrap up anyway. And see you again in the future. No doubt in the next episode I'll do will be debunks, and then it'll be part 4 of the magazines again. And if you haven't been watching those, just catch them on offline, and I mean online, but off air. And they're there. Good night and take care on the roads, everybody.
See you later.
And we didn't see Q-vids today.
No, he didn't pop in.
Like, we could have opened it up to side chatters if you're interested, but no one said. You didn't say goodnight in the side chat, Rob.
Oh, I did. Shit. I did say it verbally, though.
Yeah, I know. The green screen. So the new Matrix movie should be an interesting one.
Oh, there's a new one.
Yeah, coming out for Christmas. And there's also